Good morning, everyone. Come on in to episode 14 of Reptiles and Cocktails. And let me get everything over here going. Okay, turn that down. Okay. So, very excited about this episode of Reptiles and Cocktails. And we're going to be talking about a very serious and sensitive subject where we're going to try to keep it, upbeat and live. But I can promise you that this is a subject that the panel and myself may become very passionate about. Just bear with us. It is a subject that you guys hear me talk about a lot on many occasions. I believe in it totally. And I want to put the disclaimer that none of us are, well, I'm not a medical professional in mental health. We're going to be speaking totally from experience today. And in my cases, I can say many years of experience and being a mother of a child who is federally coded O1, which some will relate to as mentally retarded, but it is actually referred to as intellectually delayed today. And then you will also have people on the panel that I invited on today, some who've reached out to me because they saw that this was a very personal subject for me, and just said when I ever touched on this episode to please invite them in. So we'll definitely be bringing on the panel soon. I'm very excited about this. I hope that a lot of people tune in. You may learn some life-changing things today. It may you definitely will change your perspective on a lot of how you see a reptile today. So very excited. So we got some people coming in the chat already. Hey, Elias, how are you, bro? Mike is in here. What's up, Mike? About to be on the interstate. Hope my signals hold. Okay, be careful. Hey, Gershon. Hey, Live Feeding, thank you for coming through. Big Jig, definitely new to us. I think this is the first time I see you here, so welcome. Welcome to Reptiles and Cocktails. Feel free to be yourself. Feel free to communicate to the folks in the chat. We real here. We family. So thank you for coming in. And actually, I'll Live Feeding. I gotta make you blue because I guess I didn't. You must not have been on the last one. I tried to get fancy last time and make everybody blue Live Feeding. So, Big Jig, I'm going to go ahead and make you blue, which means that you are now the moderator. If you see anything that's unfavorable in the chat that is not positive, feel free to block it and remove it. As moderators, you have the power in your hands. Special shout outs. Today, I'm rocking the fam, Keys Constrictors. Today, shout out to Keys Constrictors and the usual suspects, my crew. Another group of positive people. I love them, I adore them. We share days together, most amazing group of men. As I say, next to Keisha, the only female in the crew. I adore them and I appreciate them. Yes, Elias, this one is a good one to come, right? Okay, Big G. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Welcome back. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start to bring some of our people on. What's up, Exotic Exchange? How are you doing, Derek? Thank you for coming through. So we're gonna just go right into this, and I'm going to be bringing on my guests one by one. First one is going to be Maki Watts, who actually is part of our Black Reptile Owners Group. That's how I first was introduced to her. Very kind person. I've spoken with her off the record through Instagram, and I'm glad to have her on here because definitely she has personal experience with this subject that I would love for her to share. So we're going to bring on Maki now. Then next up, we got Melody. Y'all know Melody. Melody, the unofficial co-host. But Melody comes on whenever I ask her to. Everybody knows that she's one of the people that I adore. Other than just wanting to hear her voice on the podcast, she always gives very contributing information to the public here. And she is with children all the time as an administrator and educator, which, the people who should be getting paid all the big bucks in this world today. So let's bring on Melody right now.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome, Slime Boy Exotics. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And right now we have Dearis. So Dearis is very special to me. She's actually my niece, but also one that I kind of followed her reptile journey, and she can speak a lot on this subject as well, because she actually tried the trick with one of her own babies. So again, experience is the best teacher. So we're going to just go ahead and bring on Dee now. Hey, Dee.
Hello.
So guys, I'm going to ask, and y'all know I always forget to say this other than the little ticker sometimes, but this one is very important. If you can just share on your personal pages and your personal Instagrams now. This is not to me about likes and subscriptions. This is not it for me. That is great if that comes. This subject matter, though, in the world we in today, where mental health is at its highest, where children are being born with disabilities at its highest, this is a subject that we're going to be very passionate about, but we need the message shared. Not that shared with people who are suffering, but people who are in position in the medical and governmental world to make it possible to make the animals we love more often approved legally, because I'm going to talk about that legally, as emotional support and as someday actual service animals. And I'll talk about the difference when I go into details. Welcome everyone that's coming through. Cartafago, bro, thank you. Someone who came in through another channel, Intrepid Exotics, who I really loved him, but he has been a 100% supporter of Reptile and Cocktails, so I definitely appreciate that. And it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So how did I miss that? I'm on time in Big Jig. I'm on time. See how God works? My voice is a little hoarse. My company's conference was this week, and I love what I do. It is why I get to do the reptile thing so much. My company takes really good care of me, which allows me to take really good care of my family and my reptiles. So yes, we get turned up at our conference because it's real. We enjoy what we do and we love our company. Shout out to Morgan Properties, who actually loves the whole you. So I get to be me at work, and I get to also be me as an individual with Reptiles and Cocktails, and everyone that I work with supports that. So shout out to everybody at Morgan Properties. So with that said, we're going to get into it. Give me 1 second. I want to just share an article that a social worker shared with me. She's not in the state of Maryland, and one day, like I said, I hope she's going to be able to come on and share once she gets clearance. But just so you guys know, there are studies that's being done on reptiles and their ability to be emotional support and service animals.
Very interesting.
Yes, and I would love. Like I said, I'll be glad when she is able to come on. But I want to share an article that she shared with me, and it gave the 5 top reasons that reptiles are great for people with disabilities, adults with disabilities, adults who have emotional and behavioral concerns, and children as like. So all of us. I'll go into later how I know how it impacts children very specifically, and how it definitely helps me maintain my calm and some of the toughest situations, and even at the time of death, which is normally a very tough time for me. So we're going to talk about that. But the first thing talks about, number 1, reptiles don't take up much space. Until you get into like the larger ones, and it talks about getting into crocodiles and things like that, which is fine. But even once you can provide that space for them, how they are great emotional support animals. Many of you know that I own reticulated pythons. They take up probably more than 75% of the middle level of my home because of their enclosures, but they're worth it. I think my husband has come to terms to see that they're therapy animals for me as well. And so space is only an issue if you're not dealing with some of these smaller ones. And you'll see right now, my panel are holding their personal animals, and they'll talk about that when we go with each one of them. Number 2, reptiles don't aggravate allergies, which like a lot of dogs and cats and guinea pigs and other animals do. Reptiles form unique trust-based bonds. So I'm going to stick here right now for a moment. When I say that your relationship with a reptile is only as good as how you treat them, you have to have a serious bond and understanding with the reptile in order to have a full-fledged, amazing experience with the reptile. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is that the article goes into a deep. Reptiles are capable of the same type of emotional bonds and human-pleasing behavior that domesticated dogs and cats were selectively bred for. Now, many of us have heard that's impossible. And some of us believe that, but I've said, if you ever watched me from a little girl up until now, I've said that it's different, and more studies are proving that. Mm-hmm. When I got into reticulated pythons, it took my hypothesis to effect real quick. And I'll talk more about that. It also says some folks may consider this to be a negative aspect of reptilian emotional support animals. But I like you to reconsider the assumption. Generally speaking, the human race naturally feels negative about reptiles. Yep. For a human to overcome their biological fear of reptiles, and for that specific, to overcome its natural fear of large predators, humans, takes a lot of patience, understanding, and persistence. That ties into if you ever took your child through an IEP program, if you ever had to go sit on the sofa with a psychiatrist. These are 3 things that they try to instill in you, to improve in you, for you to stabilize your mental health all the time. When you work harder for something, it tends to feel more rewarding. Domesticated animals typically love just about anyone who will give them the same attention and trends and treats. Yep. Exotic reptiles must learn to overcome their instincts and trust their handler. It can feel extraordinary once that state is achieved. Oh, we're going to go all the way into that. Number 3, all the way into that. Right there. Number 4, reptiles aren't demanding. Feed me, give me proper heat, safe enclosure, or some reptiles, it's retics, give me a not so safe one so I can escape. But they're not demanding. If you give them the proper care, normally you're going to have a very happy reptile. And then number 5, reptiles help their keepers develop a hobby and join a community, which we're going to talk about 3 and 4 or 5 more than anything. So with that being said, let me just go real fast. Let's go through the chat real fast and see who else came through in between. I'd really love the support. This is going to be a good one, guys. I promise you. We're going to all leave here seeing a different perspective. FNA, hey AJ, hey bro. Thank you for coming through. Heidi, thank you for coming through as well. All right, Gershon is here. We shouted out Gershon. I make sure again, because if we didn't, Gershon gets double shout outs. Jewel, welcome. Jewel said, I bought my corn snake during the pandemic. We're going to talk about how we survived the pandemic compared to other people too. Shout out to FedEx, who still was delivering through a pandemic. Nice. Amen. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna come back through some of the actual commentary as we go with the panel real fast. So thank you all for coming through. announce yourself if you're here so we can shout you out later. So, Mikey, can you talk about briefly what the reptile does for you?
My snakes, I think it was number 3 that you mentioned. It I've been saying for years that I feel like us as humans have just not allowed ourselves to be in tune with anything else. And I really noticed that, especially during like COVID, because we were all isolated. So
Mhm.
it provided a companion that I really felt like I could trust. I gotta trust him, and he's gotta trust me.
Amen.
And not having that in my life with humans was an emotional toll. And so well, I got 4 babies now, yay. But
It always starts with one.
it always starts with that. And Kamea, my normal ball python, I mean, she 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 forced me to be like, look, you gonna learn my personality today. Now look at right, you gonna get right, or we gotta get right, or else this ain't gonna work. And she was hissy when I got her. She was hissy, so I just it grounds me. I guess would be my babies. They keep me right on that plane of, okay, I'm going through something, but if I go get one of y'all gonna act like you love me, and that feels great, and I can trust that that's gonna be there. So I love that.
And the trust word, what you just said. So you would never be able to have a relationship with a reptile that do not trust you. So for people who are in the stream right now who are not reptile owners or have a fear of a reptile, let me explain what we're talking about. You may see National Geographic, you may see people in Australia walking through the bushes and snakes literally striking at them, right? Well, think about this. It's you. And you're walking through, I want to be careful, but if any soldiers are on the call, this is only what I can imagine what war is like. Going to strange ground and fighting against the enemy you don't understand. Everybody know in order to win any fight or war, you have to have one mental up on the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's that I don't have to ever go to the army to know that. That's hood 101.
Yes.
You let the person think that you haven't peaked the attack so you can ambush them. Well, that's what the snake is doing in Australia. This big human being is coming through their world. They can't say, hey, you. They can't say, hey, are we cool?
Right.
Are you blood, crip fool? They can't do none of that.
Right.
Right? So when you get too close, the first thing they assume, because they're hunted all the time for all the wrong reasons, skin, shoes, pocketbooks, medicine, they're hunted all the time. So trust me, they see what happens around them. So if the puff adder saw his whole crew get wiped out by some scientists last week, he knows what you humans do. And that's why it's striking. So I'm trying to give it to y'all in the simplest form. If you are in the Amazon and you're swimming and a great big anaconda comes up, and that, which has to be a very large one, because the ones we keep not getting that big, so don't worry about for us who own them. And that snake pulls in a human being. It can happen, doesn't happen often, but in the Amazon or somewhere like that, it can happen. Well, hello, human. You had no business swimming in the Amazon anyway.
Right.
And that snake thought you were food, not a human being. I'm not trying to hurt the human. I'm trying to eat. I haven't eaten. I haven't seen a crocodile in 6 months. So you fool decided to jump in the Amazon basin, and I got you. Okay? It's the same thing I say about sharks. I love the ocean. I'm the girl who would swim down 15 feet deep. But if a great white come and get me, it's kind of my fault. I came into its territory, and I probably look like food,
Surfers get hurt with that.
Exactly. So as pet owners, what we do when we get a defensive animal, which most of ours are not that defensive because they're captive bred. There are very amazing people who take in a lot of wild caught. I have one, but even that wild caught just looked like he was so happy to be taken in from the Everglades so someone wouldn't poach him because he's seen his homies get poached. And so when I brought it home and I was ready for the attack, this is wild. It's about to go down. This was the sweetest snake ever. But he's also probably seen a lot of humans who were not trying to harm him. And he was a baby when we got him. So his relationship with humans are different. Mm-hmm. So you have to have that understanding of what reptiles are. But once you get that trust with the reptile, for those of you who think, there's no way possible that you could live with a 16-foot snake. I once thought that too. I choose that 16-foot snake to communicate with because it's the best communicator than even some of those little 3-foot ball pythons, right? I am telling you, it's a process of mental connection and that you can't even get with some humans. Let me tell you something. There are people, stop relating humans to snakes because snakes don't do what humans do. Snakes are very matter of fact. They're going to let you know off rip, get away from me. You're about to get bitten.
Right.
Okay? They not
that right there.
like Brutus,
that right there.
In the back. I have never seen a snake sneak up behind you. When a king cobra had enough, it turns to you.
Yep.
It turns taller than you.
Yeah.
And if you're not smart enough to get away at that particular point, consider yourself shot, right? It's a relationship that is so rewarding when you have all these animals that you can actually pick up. Animals that once you knew, like right now, my son is working to tame down the little dwarf, which is the meanest retic we ever had. None of these mainlands was ever this mean, but taming him down and watching day by day the trust. And last night I came home, I had been gone for 4 days, and my son went to get the dwarf retic, and I was waiting for him to go ahead and do his strike thing. And he just came out and he looked and came right up in my son's arms. And I looked at my son, I said, got him.
Mm-hmm.
There
It
you
takes
go.
time, but you have to be dedicated.
Yeah.
So, De'Aris, tell me what your reptiles have, not just for you, but I want you to start with your baby first.
So, my baby boy Aaron, he is 7 years old. He was recently diagnosed as he made the autism spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So, but before we had even taken him to go get evaluated and everything, we were just having a lot of issues, behavioral issues with like he had real bad abandonment issues or feeling like things weren't permanent to him, or like trying to control his impulses. It was just a lot of trying to understand him and how he was wired to communicate. And sometimes you would want to talk to him and he would want to talk to you too, but he just wouldn't say anything. He would just shut down. And after that, you wouldn't get anything from him. So as a mom watching, and it was something that happened gradually over time. When he was about 2, he had a seizure and he stopped breathing. And when we got him together, of course, we go to the hospital and everything. He didn't talk. He didn't talk for months after that. And they just kept saying, well, it's nothing wrong with him. It's nothing wrong with him. But then we just gradually started to see a lot of delays, a lot of behavioral issues, as I mentioned, like with the not speaking and not wanting to verbalize when things was going on. And he didn't do well with change.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were, like I said, we were trying to get them together. And so we bought a snake. When my husband had COVID, I went on a snake binge. You can ask my aunt. She's the one who kind of got me all the way into this. And she had
That's really her fault. Okay.
So they did FedEx over the pandemic delivering. But we got the one snake, and her name is Isis, but she is a spider ball python, so she has like a wobble.
Oh.
So she has, her own issues. And
Mhm.
surprisingly, out of all of the snakes that we had, my youngest son, the one who I told you made the spectrum, he bonded with her immediately. He came and he said, "Mommy, I feel like she's special, just like me." And I said, "Well, you know what? If you want to be honest, she is a little special. Both of you are very special." So he said, "Mommy, she's going to be my best friend." And in the beginning, he just really wanted to hold her. But for him, he knew that if I'm too excited, she's going to be too excited and she's not going to let me hold her. So
Mhm.
he knew that he had to be in a calmer space to be able to handle her. And in that moment, it got us to be able to help him focus. Baby, you got to calm down. You
Mhm.
gotta reel it in because you don't want to upset her. And
Mhm.
that he had issues with that trust thing. It just keeps coming back to that
To the
trust
trust.
because for my son, he doesn't really trust much of anybody. To him, he's like hypersensitive to people's emotions. He feels like, you're gonna come in, you're gonna hurt my feelings, you're gonna leave. So one day, he was holding her and he realized as he moved his hand, she moved her head, and he felt like it was their little private trick, like
Mhm.
they had something going on. And it's just to watch him and to know that when he can't communicate, he can hold her in his hand and it'll bring him to a place where he feels safe enough to want to communicate or verbalize what's going on because he's like, well, I have to protect her. She wants to feel safe. And when he feels big enough to protect something else, he feels big enough to be able to communicate and verbalize and strong enough to do what we are normally expecting a 7-year-old to do. So we took that and we mentioned it to his therapist. And when we were doing the homeschooling, he was able to have her sit after, we talked to his therapist and explained to them how it was helping him because he was having trouble focusing in school. So they let us put her on his table, but she had to be in a bin. But it was like as long as she was in his line of sight and he knew that she was safe, he felt safe.
Mm.
So it's just like it's amazing the bond that a child can create with these animals that so many people fear. And
Mhm.
it's just like their mood, they feed off what you give them.
Mhm.
So if you're calm and you're relaxed and you're not panicking, they don't even feel the need to be defensive really.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Like it's that trust thing. They're trusting you not to hurt them just as much as, you're trusting them not to turn their head and bite you.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
it's amazing.
Yeah, couple things I noted. So Michael, my son, when he was born, for years wouldn't talk to anybody. People thought he didn't talk, and he would only attempt to talk to us.
Mm.
As he got older, Michael was passive aggressive to some extent. So he had his father's morality in him, and then there was this. If you push him to his real bad side, it was me. And when that show up, it's just bad, bad, all bad. So we used to have to try to find a balance in order for him to fit in to his classmates and things like that. Because if Michael didn't trust one person in the room, that's all it took. And his parents or uncles or somebody he was familiar wasn't around, he was shut down. So
Mm-hmm.
people would say, well, he don't talk. Yes, he do. Like, he talks. And so what I noticed with Michael as he got older, as I started owning reptiles, like they grew up around them. But very specifically, I want to talk about Michael with the reticulated python, because ball pythons was never anything for him. Now, the first one we got was the black one. That was T'Challa. So he watched, he saw how moody she could be,
Mm-hmm.
how defensive she could be. But Michael is very observant. So My son probably can't tell you it's 10 times 10, but I shared this before. His mind connects with things where most people don't, like on a scientist level, how he can hear engines and things. I talk about that and tell you what engine it is. Michael has a way with all of these retics where I don't even have it. Like they respond to him like he's some type of, like almost as if he's a snake himself inside. Like there is an instant communication where I have to, you know, come on, coerce them to do certain things where Michael instantly, they turn off their feed response and they just want to be on him. And I chalk it to, there is some chemical mental connection with him and his special need. Now he has the defaults of his special needs is that he don't fear a lot. It's one of the reasons why I don't allow my son to travel by himself. He's not going to see the dude walking up with a limp and say, oh, he probably have a gun on his side. Michael's going to be like, hey, what's up? You know, whatever. He's not going to, he don't see the world that way until it's too late. So Michael, though, with these snakes, he is the one like, Mom, get out the way. Get out the way. You know, I got that. If T'Challa's in shed, and she's normally bumpy in shed, but we still have to take her out, that's who I go get. Because even in shed, she goes to him like she instantly knows it's him. And I showed my husband this, so I can't make this stuff. I try to catch stuff on camera so people can see it. Like, I'll go back over there, and she'll bump me again. And I'll say, Michael, just go get her. And she'll just go, and he can take her to the other room and everything in shed. And so I have watched Michael learn from ball pythons. He's really good. And let me tell you something else. My son has, part of his disability is he's not as OCD as most people should be, or cleanliness is not top priority until it comes to these reptiles. Like, boy, you didn't wash yourself this morning. You fussing at me because it's pee in the enclosure. I'm going to get it. I'm coming down, you know, that type of thing. His need to take care of him. You talked about, he feels like he's their person and he has to take care of them. And it keeps him focused. And if you ever want your child to, I'll say, correct some type of disciplinary behavior. Maybe they got behavior issues in school, talk too much. Threaten them with them not being able to hold their snake when they come home. Watch your child have a good day. Listen. I promise you. Test me on that. If your child have an animal that it favors in your house, a reptile that it favors, and you tell them, go to school and do X, Y, and Z, or you're not going to be able to, or you can, they will choose that avenue that will get them back to being able to handle those reptiles or be with those reptiles. That's deep. And these are things that you have to see to understand. For me, I can be in my angriest moment, come down into my reptile room, instantly I forgot what I was angry about. There could be something pressure in my mind, something that's weighing heavy on me. Come down into this reptile room and it's gone. And going to number 5 about the reptiles creating a community. Having a community of people who are like-minded like you. Let me tell you, I will cut non-reptile people off in a heartbeat. But I have a certain level of patience for reptile people that I don't have for other people. You could do something that really made me upset. But because you are a reptile keeper, it's just a bond. Yeah, it's like a bond. Like, I get you. I understand you're a little crazy. You know, we here. I can work through that. I see reptile owners differently. And it's because that even with our flaws, right? We know that we are the friendship that we have. I have never met some of you in the chat right now. Y'all know that. But you're the first I go to. I have never met some of you in the chat right now. But I talk to you more than I talk to my own family. If my sister is in here in the chat, hey Q, if my sister's in the chat right now, ask her how many times this week I spoke to her. If you ain't here, Pam, type that in. I don't know if you hear or not, but she normally comes through. Ask her how many times this week I spoke to her. And then X Keys, how many times I communicated with him. X AJ, how many times I communicated with them. X Keisha, how many times I've communicated with them. X Mike, how many times I communicated with him. You communicate with these people more than you do your actual family. And so we have a different passion. We are genetically made up special. For number one, we have a special thing that allows us to, what Mikey said in the beginning, connect with these animals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for the awesome breeders in here. I know I saw Reggie in here earlier, Gershon in here, Bosa, Jeremy, I see you. So many of the breeders. We will put more in investing in the lives of our snakes and think twice about someone who's about to get evicted in our own family. Oh, you didn't pay
You
your
got
rent.
you got snakes or not?
Yeah, right. Girl, I got snakes over
I'm
here.
telling
Okay?
you, because if you
You know
don't,
what I mean?
I don't know how to help you, but
I
if
don't
you
know.
got some
If
snakes,
it's a choice,
don't bring them over. I got you.
Right.
if it's a choice,
Look, I don't know
somebody's gonna be
what
homeless
kind of
and these
advice you
snakes gonna
need.
be
I don't
paid.
know, but I'll
Right.
take the animals for
I'll
you.
take the animal.
I'll
I'll take good care of them. Don't even worry
Right.
about it, man.
I don't know
Y'all
what
know
By
we
the
snake
not
way,
you
lying.
I
got
love that
going.
everybody else's snake is chilling now. Gambit's just like, I want to see everything and everybody and
Everything.
go everywhere.
But even
Nor-
with that,
Normally he's chill as I'll get, but today he's like, I'm in it. I'm here
he's
for
trying to
it.
tell y'all what y'all talking about is what's up. Like, tell them people. Melody, let's go to Melody. Melody works in the educational field and she takes her animals to work all the time. Tell the people about what you have noticed through that experience.
Basically, like you said, it helps them to stay calm, stay focused. Also as a reward because when I walk in the morning, oh, Miss Patterson, what she got? And so you get a whole bunch of it distracts them for a moment. Then they know if I don't do what I'm supposed to at such and such time, I won't be able to hold my favorite snake. I've named my snakes, all of them, but when they get to school, they get different names, and I allow them to have them. I have one that's named Autumn Daisy, and her favorite person calls her Oopsie Daisy because that sounds better. And I'm like, okay, girl, you can't hold Oopsie Daisy unless you've done all of blah, 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 and you haven't done such and such. And then when such and such time comes, you can get Oopsie Daisy, okay? Yes, ma'am, no problems. And we have a few children that are on the spectrum, and all of them except for one, we have a small one, but the rest of them, they get to hold the snakes. The oldest one, she loves the big boa, and she's about the only one I will let keep the big boa, and she'll hold them for an hour or two, as long as I'll allow. She can do her work. She can go where, our school is kind of set up different. They don't have to actually sit in their desk. They can go to different places to study. And she gets to have that big baby around her waist as long as she's doing her work. So, I've noticed a huge change. And like you said too, I don't have to worry about them having to take them outside to go potty, or nobody's allergic to anybody, or anything like that. But they also know, because we told them at the very beginning, however you feel, that's what the snake is gonna feel. That's what the bearded dragon is gonna feel. It's not quite that as intense as I explained it to them, but I let them know if they're hyper, that's going to rile up the animal. And then I have to take them and put them back up until they calm down. And you don't want me to take them, do you? No, ma'am. Okay, so you have to stay calm. Remember, and they said, well, snakes don't have ears. They can't hear if we're loud, but they can feel vibrations. And when we get loud, you feel the vibrations from us being extra loud. And so we don't want to scare them. It's how you have to talk to them. I don't care the age. That's how I talk to all of them.
Right.
And they learn, they understand, and they are not afraid. Children are not as scared of things as adults. And so once they learn proper handling, proper care, they become the best reptile owners, or assistants, as I like to say. One of my assistants that comes to my house, to my shed, and she helps out, about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks. She came, and when I stepped out to get something, she decided she wanted to open one of the containers that had a new boa in it. It was a little bigger than this one, and it was two of them, two assistants in there, little boy, little girl, 8 and 10. And she said she wasn't scared, so she opened it up, and he's new. newer, so he's not exactly used to everybody just opening it up and grabbing him like she's used to doing. She said, I just went to touch his back. Well, it struck at her and it got her hand. And so she came, she said, Miss Patterson, the snake bit me. I said, oh, okay, are you okay? Settled all that. She didn't cry. She wasn't scared. And I said, oh my goodness. So what do we need to do with, and I called the snake's name. What do we need to do with him? You want me to spank him? He needs a spank. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. At first I was like, oh, I'll choke her. But no, then I thought, it's my fault. I put my hand in there. And I said, you're right. And I said, well, let's go get you cleaned up and all this other stuff. And I said, so do I need to get rid of her? You want to go back in and hold her? No, don't get rid of her. Let's get another chance. We'll just work with her a little more. I said, okay. So children are the best. And they understand that everybody has, including animals, everybody needs a second chance. You have to understand them before you just jump in and do things. It's always a learning process. And they're open. So I enjoy but as far as my 2 dogs who are here at the same time, she can't stand them. They do too much. They smell. But you just got struck at by a snake and you're worried about the puppy. Miss Patterson, why don't you get rid of them? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yep. And speaking to that, the other day, about 2 weeks ago, Michael actually got bit by T'Challa, which is the big one. And T'Challa has never bitten anyone, but he immediately identified what he did wrong. He was coming downstairs with her. And I always tell people with heavy snakes to curry that first third because they can't feel like they've fallen.
Mm-hmm.
So when she did it, first of all, he never screamed, ouch, or whatever. All I heard was, I'm sorry, Chala. You thought you were falling. I'm sorry. And so he said, Ma, I didn't have the top part of her body. And so for people who are not reptile owners, what that snake was trying to do, it doesn't have arms to say, Michael, don't let me fall.
Exactly.
Its mouth was the only thing it could use.
Exactly.
But let me tell you how smart she was. She could have easily, she's 16 feet now, came up and bit him in the face if she wanted to hurt him. No, she bit him on the leg where she was trying to hold on and instantly let go. Reticulated pythons have serrated teeth. Their teeth goes back. So if they want to shred something, they can shred it. If you've never seen it, you can Google it. If you look at Michael's leg, it looked like a ball python bit him. So that's how you knew that T'Challa wasn't trying. She just was trying to hold on. But Michael identified with it instantly. So he came downstairs and he said, Mom, Charlotte, he talking to her. She bit me. It was my fault. I didn't do what you told me to do. And I said, well, I'm glad you identified that.
I had an experience like that with Kamea, and that's my very first ball python. And it was that moment where I was like, I'm learning you. I spooked her. It was plain. I spooked her because, I wasn't with the rack system and stuff yet. I didn't know. So of course she's in a she was small. She was still like hatchling size, and she was under her hide, and I know it's a top open. It's not a front open enclosure. It's a sliding top. And I took her hide off because I was checking on her. And she came back and tagged me. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. Did I say that happened? Okay. And I picked her up and it was crazy because it was like, she got right. And she's my least head shy. I've worked with that one. And she came like right up to my face, and it just felt like she was saying, I'm sorry, but you scared me. You scared me. I didn't realize it was you, Mom. My bad. And then she did what she always does, sat on my hat and went in between my everything. Her personality is amazing. I love Snake's personality.
They're amazing.
They're just
Let me
so
go
dope.
to the chat 1 second, because there's a lot here, and guys, just be patient with us. Like I said, it's very passionate, so I can't even stay focused on the chat like I normally would. But now let's go back. So thanks, T Keys or Keisha. He said, "Hey ladies, hey chat, happy Mother's Day weekend. Thank you. I totally
Happy
forgot
Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Until earlier.
Mother's Day weekend.
Happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful mamas out there. That's
Thank
awesome.
you for coming through, Jeremy. I saw Q come in, but shout out to Q again, bro fam.
Hey, Q, that's my
Bosa.
boy.
Bosa. Kiki. For everyone in the audience, Kiki Bosa will be on Reptiles and Cocktails on June the 11th. He hasn't said that yet, but that we're speaking into existence. I'm even going to advertise it, Bosa. I'm going to put your picture on it and everything. I'm going to have to wait until the moment 1 o'clock, and you're just not going to have to show up. Hey, Big Tank Hank, what's up? What's up? Q said this is the second all lady panelist with all the fellas going to get to come on this great podcast. Q, I ain't even going to talk about it. You know I've tried. You work out those fellas and we'll pick a date. You get the fellas together. You know what fellas I want. Wait a minute. I want Reggie to be isolated, but he going to have his own show, but you can bring him back on to other fellas only. But Q, you work on it. The Reptiles and Cocktails, you already know. So I tell people, my bro fam was the first supporter of Reptiles and Cocktails. So y'all get the panel together and you let me know, we pick a date. Because I'm tired of fooling with y'all. The people that I invite on, I just send them a message and they be like, yay girl, hey girl, and that's it. You know how that rolls.
Your Reptiles and Cocktails got me through my work days, man. Them 12-hour shifts were killing me.
I know that's
right at 1 o'clock, boom. I'm like, yes, finally, I get to look at snakes for an hour or two.
Yes. Carter Fago said, yeah, they want to use aggressive behavior footage because they want their ratings. They don't care about whether or not the footage is damaging to the reptile and the perception of the public. So let me stop there. Because I'm going to stop right here for a moment. It's very important that we keep the positive images of reptile keeping out there. Now, I said this before. I'm not against what anybody do on their page, but what you will never see me do is anything that will keep us from progressing in this world with reptiles. And whether we like it or not, we are a small percentage of the population who understands these animals, who actually feed rabbits out the freezer, who understands this is food just like the chicken. Or as my husband say, you know, they eat better than we do. You know, he said especially the lizards. Is salmon in here? We eating salmon? Oh no, that's for the lizards. You know, it's very important, not just positive images, but positive relationships. Because I can tell you one of the craziest things that I always hear when people learn, especially in my professional world, that I keep reptiles. The perception is people who keep reptiles have big holes in their ears, tattoos on their faces. First of all, this panel is not most people perception, period. Women and black women.
I kind of fit that description though. Exactly. I got cages and tattoos.
Exactly. So when you go and you do episodes of Reptiles and Cocktails, you see everybody in the community. You see all colors. You see males and females. You see all sexualities, all nationalities, because that's what our reptile world really is like. And we get along better than any country can in our reptile community world. And that's what we need to exude the image of. Those who are most supportive to me are not necessarily my brothers and sisters in color, okay? So I look at people as people. And it's very important that we not taint our hobby with anything that the world is already tainted with. We got this very small part of the world that we get to enjoy together very uniquely. And we need to keep the sanctity in that. So great point. You know, I'm not going to do live feedings for ratings. That's not going to happen. Now, there are people who do live feedings, and I think it's necessary because what we have to keep in mind that is a lot of people don't know how to live feed. So I do believe there should be videos of live feeding. I believe that you should be able to see how to properly offer a live animal to a ball python, very specifically, who can be killed by a rat in a heartbeat if you don't know how to properly introduce it to the snake.
Yes, sir.
So let's not, confuse the two. I don't think that you should be doing it for ratings and making it all ooh and gooey. No, but if you're doing it, this is how you feed your snakes. People Sorry, non-reptile owners. Snakes eat animals. You know,
Yep.
we prefer they eat animals and not people. And there's nothing wrong with that. And part of educating our community, we have to show people how to properly do it. And so there's going to be those videos. Thank you. One of my favorite videos during the week is Gershon's mealtime. I think he shows how organized feeding can be, where it's not all tenuous and long drawn out and things like that. And he feeds both. I have snakes from him. They took frozen thawed like beast, you know. But you get to see those different images, and again, it's a way to disagree without bashing each other. I'm not going to do a video bashing somebody about what they're doing on their channel. That's their channel. If I don't like it, I won't check in. Then it's also channels that I might not agree with everything that they do, but I like a lot of the other stuff. We got to keep that type of harmony. We are from different walks of this life. All of us have different ways to educate the public. And whether we like it or not, we're going to have to show feeding videos, but it should be done very tasteful. Please support this channel. Yeah, anyone, not sure whose channel it is, but absolutely support the channel all times. Anybody in here, we support each other. You know, in fact, let me tell you something about that. The more you support somebody else by clicking their link, you'll get that same support back. So always, because I just made a post earlier. I support those who support me. I know who you are. Okay, let's see. Definitely, Keisha, make sure to like, subscribe to our hosts and our panelists, and make sure that you like and subscribe to Keys Constrictors if you're not already. One of the dopest channels out there right now. Authentic, fun. We have the best Friday nights. Gotta love it. Jamal said, good analogy. Jamal, I'm not sure what that was, but if you can type that in so we can share it, because I'm coming late, I'm sure, to the comments. So I appreciate that. Portafago says, speaking of Everglades, I've been looking at these caramel Burmese pythons. They are so beautiful. Yeah, Burmese
Caramel
pythons are beautiful in its own. Yes, I have 2 Burms, and both of them are amazing animals. But what I love about the retics is that intelligence. So the retics give me the cobra life without having a cobra.
I want a frostwater cobra so daggone bad. I'm itching for one. I don't even know why. It's the hood thing. I don't know what it is. The cobras in the hood. I just think that's dope. And if I wish there was some kind of like, oh man, I wish there was. I forget what it is, but I guess a direct comparison for me is like the daggone it. It's my favorite venomous snake, and now for some reason I can't think of it. Gaboon, the Gaboon viper. Ooh. I love them. They're short and they're stocky like me. And the closest thing I can get to it would be the not blood. Is it blood python? Short tail python. I would say
Tobin would be probably a blood python. Yeah, probably the thickness.
But it's the pattern. It's the pattern on a Gaboon. I don't know what it is about the triangles and the bars down the back, and then they short and they're stocky. I wish. But if I could find like a direct comparison like I did with the Gaboon, I'm willing to get a blood python. If I could find a direct comparison to a king cobra where it actually stands up in its hood, I'm getting it. I'll sell my house, my car, my motorcycle. Give it to me.
I always joke with Cody and Jewel that their king cobras are actually corn snakes. So, you know.
They never hood. I love it.
They sitting there just rubbing
their head.
Yeah, like, especially, I mean, it's just insane. But it also shows you to what we talked about. Once you build that trust. Now, Taco, for example, I remember when he first got Taco, that trust wasn't always there. But the difference between me and them dudes is that somewhere you have to say, I'm going in.
Yeah. Gotta have Crocodile Dundee spirit.
And you have to be willing to die, right?
Like the real kind.
But the real kind, you have to be willing to die. Your confidence have to be so solid to go in and say, I'm picking you up today. Woo! That's not like with a retic. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna get a real bad bite or something like that. But with a cobra, man, that's a whole nother set of gigantic balls that I
Can I
can't
ask
even
a
get to.
question?
But I love watching it. Sure.
I just let's see. Dear Miss Melody, right? Did I say it right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What are your two babies you are holding? I believe I see a
Say it
Burmese
again.
and maybe a boa.
Which
What
baby
babies
are
are
you
you holding?
holding?
This is a boa, sun glow
Yes,
boa.
look at the
And
baby.
Yeah, so
this is
it's a
epic.
small one. I got them from Carlito Serrano in the group in the bro group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is also DC Herps, right?
I'm not.
The
I don't
company
think
name.
so. I'm not
Okay.
sure. Maybe I can't
Okay.
remember. But yeah, I got him and his sister maybe 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and so sister has a little attitude, but brother's pretty nice.
Oh
The
man.
sister has started mellowing out now, but
Mm-hmm.
I love them. Ball pythons. I thought
I think we lost. Oh, I hear you now. Yep.
but boas are amazing. I have one Burmese, and she, I believe, like Nicole, like you say, they can see, they understand, they have their own personality. I question ball pythons because I don't know, maybe they're just lazy. I'm not sure. But the bigger the snake, the more personality, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I don't
Keith
know.
said,
All
I
my
just
ball
pulled the
pythons are
girl off
different.
her eggs after her hissing like crazy. She never struck and she let me wash her and grab her eggs with no problem. So I want to talk about that. So one of the images that I'm not favored on is the image of I have to say it like a Jay Brewer who's pulling eggs from a reticulated python, and people perceive that's what a reticulated python does all the time. So let me
I
talk
agree.
about
right.
that. Let me talk
I
about how
completely
smart
agree.
snakes are. Snakes are better mothers than some of us. They're fighting so you don't take their babies.
Yep.
Right? It's nothing to do. Once you get those babies removed and get it cleaned up and everything, they go back to being the sweet little snake that it was before it got pregnant. But if you don't fight for somebody coming in your house to snatch your children, then that's a problem.
Right.
Now, the flip side of a snake. You see sometimes, Mark Quindra, for example, where her snake had that litter, and she's going to be on coming up May 21st on my show. We all watched it live. We wanted to see what was going to happen. And she got a big girl and she was going to pull these off. Now, her and her snake are like sisters. They tight. They close. The snake wear crowns, y'all. I mean, like literally. Okay? So she goes in. This snake was not reactive. So this is what I chalk it down to. It knew that the person was coming to pick up the kids was the auntie. So she did not react. But if you don't handle your animals often, in which, you know, when you're a big breeder like that, you can't.
Right.
And you go in and take those eggs, you might get tagged or a whole butt whipping from a retic if you don't know what you're doing. But that's natural human and animalistic behavior. You better fight for your children.
Yep.
You know, so people construe that, that's a mean animal. No, after them eggs are removed, that animal goes back to being the sweet animal it was before then.
I'd be concerned if the snake didn't fight for his kids.
Right.
I'd be like,
Exactly.
what's up with you?
That's like
What's
a snake
wrong?
who was
Right.
to eat.
Are
Somebody
these
always
eggs any
asks,
good? I mean, you don't want them. Why? Are you sure?
Why would I want them?
right.
Exactly.
It's equivalent to when people say to me, my snake won't eat. Eventually it will, or it's really not a snake, or it deserves to die. Because no snake is going to starve itself to death. You know, one and two, just hold tight. Eventually it's going to realize it's hungry and it's going to eat.
Right. Yep, I agree.
Big Jig, right on. I don't know where I would be in my depression, anxiety, and PTSD if I didn't have my snakes for real. And let me tell y'all something that I've noticed in this last year. How many military personnel are snake owners?
Yep.
Former vets, veterans, sorry, not former, you always a vet, vets who are reptile owners.
That
Mm-hmm.
I
And
identify with the most, that depression thing.
yes,
See, I identify with that. That hits home because that right there. I
keep
mentioned
doing it.
earlier. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned earlier that the excuse me, I had to study, y'all. That whole trust and everything. I lost my mom
Ooh.
when I was 22. So my
Mm-hmm.
mom been gone almost 5 years now. Come November, and I, that was. I mean, that's mama. Like
Yep.
I have a stepmother who I call mother one and a half because she just didn't give birth to me.
Right.
But there's a whole another. Hey, that's my club sister. Hey, Shawty, you what? That's my little club sister in my motorcycle club. Hey, babe. I'm sorry, but I lost her, and that was like the one person I was like, I don't care what I'm going through. I thought when I lost my mom, I thought I was her biggest failure because I came out as being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was that epitome of that was the last thing. I should have never done that. I should have, because my idea was that I was never going to come out to my either one of my parents for sure, ever, because I just wanted them to go and they never had to worry about that. And then, but I had to trust my mom, and I found out that she cussed somebody out because they were asking about my sexuality, and it was disrespectful. So she
Mm-hmm.
cussed them out, and I was like, okay, that's a level of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got into the ball pythons, and especially Kamea, because
Mm-hmm.
that one, none of the other ones have hissed, struck nothing, but that little hissy thing, and now she, I had she really forced me to have to sit back and say, I'm gonna trust you not to bite me, because for 4 years, almost 4 years, when I just got her in 2021, I didn't trust. No, I was just out and about by myself. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got club sisters, and I trust them with my life because we ride motorcycles together. I
Right.
gotta trust the person riding next to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a different. It's a different bond. I don't think I've ever trusted any of my fur babies the way I trust that daggone snake. I
Mm-hmm.
say all the time. I think Kamea, if somebody broke into the house right now and I threw him at her, she'd be going ham. I'm finna constrict everything out of you and my mama. I'm serious. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but I
But
identify with that.
I
Mikey, but again,
to
the
that.
association when we talk about the connection, look in the reptile community and see how many people who are gay, lesbian, or other in the reptile community.
I did. I made a post in the bro group, and I was like, "Look, I know there's got to be somebody like me. All of y'all add me today.
Yeah,
All of you add me
You,
now."
your friend list went up a buku amount, didn't it?
Oh man, I felt popular. I ain't never been
yeah,
popular.
that's right. And so again, going to what I'm saying, we need the government and the medical community to see that connection. I'm
Yep.
telling you, there's so many. If you look at, let's go into our groups, our different groups that you may be a part of. You see so many people, young, old, male, female, whatever your sexuality, whatever, where, from different
Whatever
walks of
your
life,
belief,
rich or poor,
whatever.
that have a specific need for the comfort of a reptile or the community one way or the
Mm-hmm.
other. If you took us and put us in different bags of nuts, we will find so many people that are the same type of nut that we are
Are
in our
very
own
close.
community.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like
I
just
think.
Yep.
even the reptile group alone in this past year has been crazy. Um, in June of last year, I lost my dad. In July of last year, literally a month after his funeral, I got into a really bad car accident and I almost died. I rear-ended a tractor trailer and it was just horrible. I put a post in the group. after, I had got better or whatever. But the amount of support and the outpour of love and prayers and well wishes that I got just from that group, just from the group alone, it was like, okay, I'm not going through this by myself. I'm not dealing with this by myself. And, after my accident, I was stuck in the bed, so I couldn't get to my snakes. That was hard enough.
Yep.
Oh
But
God.
they would, my kids and stuff, they would bring me this one right here. His name is Epic, but we call him Puppy because he's just like a big old lap dog. But he would come and they would just lay him in the bed with me. And in that moment, to say that I was cuddling with my puppy, it just felt like that, just to be close to him. And, granted, he was probably just stealing my body heat, but he cuddled back to me.
They do.
To me, my baby
Oh,
cuddled
they
back,
do.
but and my last berm that I got, his name is Mo. We named him after my dad. But I've it helped a lot, even with just getting through my grief. Just having them there, and it kind of gave me other things to focus on. And our bearded dragon we got from my dad. Actually, right before my dad passed away, he said, "D, I need you to keep the bearded dragon for me until we move." So we got the bearded dragon, and I'm like, Daddy, make sure you come back and get it. And literally about not even a full 3 weeks after we got it from him, he passed away. And all I could say was, if you wanted me to keep it, that was all you had to say. You know,
Yeah.
have to come and just give me the ultimate drop off. But it's like, again, I bonded with this bearded dragon as the last gift, that I got from my dad. And it's all about the connections that we can make, in the community and with the animals. It's just, people will really be surprised.
That's beautiful. That
Yeah,
is so beautiful.
I think that again we have to, like, I know with D, telling the teacher and telling the therapist, he needs, this snake. Um it's very important that we bring it to life, because let me tell you what people don't realize. And I was having this conversation the other day with somebody on social media. A doctor saying that an animal, or a nurse, a therapist saying that an animal is an emotional support animal, it's one thing. That's just saying that you need that person, that animal around for emotional support. It gives you no right to travel with that animal.
Mm-hmm.
We need, in some scenarios, people to understand that the animal is an extension of us, where it goes into being a service animal. Now, mind you, no, it may not be able to walk the blind, right? But for some people, being able to get on a plane, for example, holding the snake or putting the snake with them. Now, I'm not saying you should be able to go on the plane with a reticulated python. It ain't gonna work. It will be unfair to the snake, okay? Even if you put them in it's nothing that small you're gonna carry that retic in. But a ball python, a corn snake, maybe, in a container or something, that it can just be with you, is as much of an emotional support animal than the dog that's sitting behind me in his little carrier. And the difference of the two is an emotional support animal still has to be approved by an apartment community. If the landlord says that you can't have a ball python and you say it's my emotional support animal, well, it's against our lease agreement here. You have to go elsewhere. If it's a service animal, they can't even charge you a pet fee. It's an extension of who you are. Just like you need your arm, your service animal is another arm. And that's the goal. That is the goal. I'm working in the background with someone, and like I said, I'd be glad when she can just make it all public. There's legalities in her position with this, because, like I said, is in the background. These are discussions, guys. I don't know if we have any social workers in the chat or any teachers who work with IEPs or anything like that. But in the background, I learned that this is a conversation, and it's kind of like everything else we have to fight, is getting people to get over their fears. Instead of separating the fear. I mean, a pit bull can be dangerous if not properly raised. I have a Rottweiler who
Bang, bang.
I'm more concerned about him getting to
Oh.
the retic than the retic getting the
No,
retlock.
forget about the dogs. What about the cat?
Thank you.
I
I was gonna
don't
say
know.
it. I was waiting
And
somebody
he
else
can't
to
be
say it.
trusted.
Look,
Because
I
that
got a
is the
cat that
biggest
don't
thing.
play. She's my guard cat, and Lord.
I'm telling you, that is like the biggest thing is that owning a reptile, everybody's like, oh, you're not worried about it biting you. You're not worried about it getting to it. I was like, if you bring your cat over to my house, I'm going to be real upset with you because that cat is going to go in there and it's going to hurt and when I tell them, I be like, look, I own a ball python. You want to know why they're called ball pythons? They're called ball pythons because they punks. When they get scared, they ball
Exactly.
up. They ball up.
Exactly.
Kamea is my most aggressive eater. She hungry. I don't know what it is about that one, but she don't play. But when you put that because I haven't switched over to frozen thaw yet. I'm working on it. But you put that thing in there and she runs. She balls up, and I'm like, you don't never ball up. What you scared for? You know that's food. And then my other boy Capone dropped. I set him back in his enclosure. And his tail came down and he balled up because he got scared of his own freaking tail. I was like,
That's
now
what they do.
I'm like, now, and everybody worried about you.
Right.
Shoot. I know you lying.
My
Yeah,
aunt.
I tell you, I think that back in the day, and I want to say in the 90s when I got my first ball python, it was around 1990, 91. And you could take your ball pythons into the mall in Maryland. You could take them anywhere. Now, this is something I discovered recently. I don't know where we thought that you had to stop because if you look, there's no signs on the mall that says no reptiles, no cats, no dogs, no anything, right? Mm-hmm. We just naturally stopped. And what I chalk it up to is that people just are comfortable, back then, because it's not as popular now. We everywhere now. Social media got the world understanding that there is many people who own reptiles on one level or the other, from the ball python, corn snake to alligators to Asian water monitors, everything. Right here in this one house, people ask, how do I have all of that? It's a joy. It's a joy. I'm living a dream in my own home. Of having all of the animals that I always wanted, right? But we stopped doing it because of how people react to it. Like even now, I don't take my animals into certain places because number one, I don't want a big deal about it. And I don't want people going to write near senators. Oh, the girl came into the restaurant with it, which honestly, I don't care what kind of animal you have. I don't necessarily want to eat with reptiles or animals of any sort in a restaurant. So I get there. Like some people go overboard wanting to be seen with a reptile. That's just beyond me. No. A lot of things that, I think we can just be overboard with a reptile that makes it worse for us in the hobby. But I do believe that if you need that animal to travel, just like you do with the little carrying case with a cat, dog, or whatever, you should be able to. In fact, I guarantee you when that plane take off, your snake is going to stay way still and quieter than any dog or cat would ever.
Exactly.
It's like a shock of, it's like their fight or flight kicks in. And I don't even want to say it's fight or flight because it's like fight or freeze. Like I'm stuck. I'm not moving. I'm not thinking about it. And I agree with what you said there, Nicole, because I mean, I know that a lot of it seems, I feel like in the Black community, because that's really the only one I can speak about, other than the Hawaiian community. And the Hawaiian community is a totally different thing. Like that part of my culture could care less about anything that I'm doing in the world right now. They could care less about all of it. They're like, cool, you can interact with all kinds of different animals. That's good. We call it mana. It's like chi. That means you have good energy.
Good energy, yes.
So they think that's amazing that I have snakes. The Black community, on the other hand, I was like, look, and this is where I wanted to start. When I got them, I was like, I could start doing like little reptile parties with kids so that they can get the exposure, even if they never want to own one. That's good. We can't change anything right now. But my grandkids will be different because they experience snakes. And then
Yep.
my great-grandchildren will be different because they experienced all kinds of reptiles. They're not going to have that innate, I don't know where it cursed fear of this animal that is fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's no more like your dog. I've had worse experiences with cats than I ever will with a snake. I'm just saying. Any
Yeah.
reptile. Them
I
cats,
have it
I
on
don't.
the daily.
Ooh.
Well, like
And
I
I
said,
still
I
don't
always
hate 'em.
share. I almost lost my arm to a dog. So I get it. But the other thing is that would you talk about the energy part? So it's, and I'm gonna relate to it, Maki. It's as how I relate to how people don't understand people being gay sometimes too. So let me do that for
bring
you.
it on.
Okay,
Bring it
the
on. I'm
energy.
here for it.
So I grew up in a household where my father was terrified of snakes, okay? Terrified. He jumped off his own boats because of them. If a snake was on his boat and he had nice boats, he's in the water. I grew up with a mother who was never big on any type of pet like that. And to now, she's really into pit bulls, but growing up, she wasn't into animals like that. But it didn't change the fact that I was bonded to them. And none of my siblings are like that. I have nieces and nephews and my children are, but my siblings wasn't big on no reptiles either. So I'm saying that to say, when you talk about the energy, those of us who love them the way that we do, we were destined to do it.
Yes.
And I think that you have to be destined to be able to have the relationships we have now. Just like people say, you cannot be gay. Well, honey, I'm sorry. First of all, me and my best friend had this conversation the other day. You can be born gay. Let me tell you the difference. Y'all can identify the family member from the age of 1 when they started walking and talking. And we said they were different, whether we knew it was gay or not, from the person who decided to turn 16 years old and have experiences and then change their sexuality.
Love with that.
Those are differences. Not saying that the person who is now 16, the person who's 16 has not, maybe figured it out a little later. I'm not saying that they're not as gay as anybody else. But there's a difference between the person who were born gay and then the person who discovered being gay.
Big facts. Thank you. Whoa, how did you hit that nail on that head like that? Jeez.
Oh, I have family members. I can tell you different ones. Oh, she turned gay. My sister turned gay. She wasn't always gay. But I have cousins who, when he was 1, 2, we already knew that they were. So when they came out, it was just like, well, thank you. There we can,
I had a lot of family
the whole
members
world,
like that.
your whole life, And then another thing is that when we talk about animals and relating to the same thing, how do we know who's boy and girl? How do we, who said chromosomes make that up, right? So it's the same thing with reptiles, how people try to judge every snake is dangerous. So every snake is going to be defensive. No, genetically, my makeup is going to make me be defensive. But if I trust you, you care for me, you take care of me. Like I see some people with snakes trying to bite them, and I'm looking at the enclosure and saying, that's why the snake's trying to bite you. That shit is nasty. Like I get it.
I'd be mad if my
will
partner
make
was
you
a man
defensive.
too.
Okay?
I'd be mad too. I come in the house
Right,
and my
exactly.
partner's
Exactly.
Like, okay.
And especially with a retic. I can tell you, retics don't like to sit in where their poop is. If that's how you know they poop, it's all the way in the corner somewhere. And it wants out. It wants out of there. And so you can definitely, the environment, just like with humans, with animals, their environment can make them defensive as well. Plain as snakes, it'll be less defensive, I promise you.
Stressed. And people think it's hilarious when I be like, man, I'll be dealing with them over the weekend or something, and I'll go back, see a friend or a coworker or something. I'm like, man, my snake was so daggone stressed. And I couldn't figure out why until I lifted the hide, and this one piece of wood chip was out of place. And it was acting a fool. And they're like, snakes get stressed. I'm like, do you get stressed if your house ain't
Right.
Okay. You can stress the snake out real fast. Like real fast.
It's crazy.
What Melody said. I have one snake, T'Challa, and I've shown people this on video, loves R. Kelly. I just want she when you turn on some R. Kelly, she scoots out. I don't know what it is about his octaves or whatever.
Feel it.
But But my
It's the
berm does
vibrations.
not like R. Kelly or loud music. I don't know what it is. The berm acts totally different. Again, it all depends on that individual reptile, and you have to be in tune and watch them, spend time with them. If you send your reptile into an enclosure and never deal with them, you'll never understand. For those of you who do that, you could never connect to what I'm talking about right now, because you don't need them apparently, right? I literally have to, the first thing I did when I came back yesterday, my husband, I'll give you an example. We were leaving my conference. My husband says, Mother's Day weekend, babe, I want to take you somewhere. Well, let's go check into another hotel. I got to go home. I got to see my animals, you know?
They're my
kids.
kids.
Like, okay, you know, where most people, and even with gifts, most women might want a big pair, you know, a pair of red bottoms, you know. You know what a pair of red bottoms can get me in a reptile? No, babe, I want the reptile all day, every day.
I want a clown. I want a clown ball python.
Listen,
I want something totally different. You know,
I want a
Ozzy got this
seriously
snake over here, this male over here that I might want, baby. He's super powerful male. I might
give
want
me some reptile.
Keep the red bottoms. I need that. Yeah. And you know, and even with that, people start to realize, like my team, I'll use it for example. When you're passionate about somebody, I don't care whether they like it or not. Those people around you pick up on your passion. So everything that my employees buy me now is snake related. Everything that my husband buys me now is snake related.
Beautiful.
You know, anything someone sends and shipped to me is snake related, because they understand where my passion lies. You cannot buy me a brand new car. I have cars. We got 3 out there. But if you come up in here and say, look, I got you a brand new, I can't say retic because I'm shutting it down at retics now. I promise myself. No more retics. But I bought you a brand new ball python, and here it goes. It's from Ozzy. It's from Justin. Oh, I will pass out. You will get the Holy Ghost dance in a heartbeat. But if you come in here with something of the same value, it has no value to me. And I would tell you that in this day and in this age, I'm asking everybody who's here in the chat, continue to share what reptiles do for you, your children, my grandchildren. Watching my granddaughter, where everybody knows Skylar ain't scared of nothing. You know, she's just a G all the way around. She
cold-blooded, because I'm terrified of them 8-legged freaks, boy.
Oh no, she's not scared of anything. She's a 6-year-old who, I don't know. I can't think of nothing she's scared of. She ain't scared of nothing and nobody. She thinks she's up against the world. But she understood that her brother was. She understood that her baby brother was afraid. So when I tried to introduce Jaden to snakes, you know, he wanted to watch him through the glass. No snake. No. She was here last week or a week before last, and her brother had a real bad fall, and she was very upset about it. When he came home, she pulled out the snake. So she has 2 snakes here that belong to her. And she pulled Annabelle and Othello out and said, hold the snake. And her brother, Jaden, held the snake. Held it for a long time. And then the next morning, asked to go get a snake. And this is a baby boy, you know? So
that's beautiful.
I say that to say, as parents, if you have children who are interested in reptiles, you are missing a blessing to help you to discipline, grow, educate, and introduce your children to a world and a community. We say this a lot. If you give your children reptiles at an early age, it's less likely that they'll be addicted to drugs. I'm not saying that they won't buy weed, because you know a lot of my reptile people do. Ain't nothing wrong with y'all. They my peeps. You know, I ain't mad to you. It's not my, you know, that's not my, you know, but it's yours, and I love y'all to death, and I'm there with y'all all the time. But you'll have children who will ask how many people in the chat right now. All right, people in the chat who are weed smokers. Would you buy ounce, or would you buy that super red stripe?
What's a super red stripe? Is that a
it's a ball python.
Oh, it's a ball python? Please don't tell me that, because my favorite color is red. I promise you, if I find a red ball python, my whole life savings is gone. Gone. I was so mad. I saw something on YouTube where somebody got scammed because it was a bright red, I mean red like this Ritz box.
Oh
and
wow.
it was a scam. I was about to go look. I was about to be out some money, y'all. Pray for me.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
mean, but I
didn't
think
know.
it's honest to God truth. I think that, like for me, and I shared this with people. For years, I always had like a little private savings that I knew at certain point in my life, I wanted to just go reptile crazy. And when that opportunity came, I was able to. When I exhausted all those funds, my job still supplied the need. Um, so when I look, it was never a struggle for me. It's something that I always knew that I wanted to do. Now, shout out to parents who are reptile owners who raising young children, putting them through daycare and all of that, and still able to buy expensive reptiles. I wasn't that mother. I had to plan life out differently. Wait till the kids got grown and things like that. But with doing that, I was so passionate about it. And especially having Michael, I knew that he was going to be my only support. My husband, hands down, always told me he would never be a reptile person. He's never touched one. He'll support me, drop me all the funds I need to house, feed, all of that. But what I did know is that Michael was going to be that other person. So I had to make sure that he enjoyed big snakes. Because my husband made it clear, baby, I love you a lot. But if one of those snakes got you, I can't even help you. Only thing I'm able to do is shoot. And I'm like, you can't shoot my snake, you know? And I know that he truly means that. Like, he loves me. I know he does. But I know that if I don't want him to take a second to think about it. But when I had surgery, we talk about this. T'Challa was coming upstairs. I wanted to see her so bad, like you were talking about, D. So, I came out. When you coming out the type of surgery I had, you wake up a totally different person, and I was very emotional, and a lot was going on. I just wanted to touch my snakes because I couldn't pick them up or anything like that. So my husband supported my son. Go get T'Challa, let her out. Then T'Challa decided she wanted to go up the stairs. Now my husband's like, well, who's going to get her back down? I said, Michael got to do it because I couldn't lift anything yet. When I saw my husband put his hand on that snake, now I saw two things at one time. My husband is from the hood, okay? He ain't scared much. But when he put his hand on that snake, he was saving his wife. He wanted to make sure that snake was not putting weight on me. And he lifted that snake up. And I saw two things, him saving me in one hand and him dying mentally in another.
Wow,
So
yeah.
all over with.
Yeah.
Hey, I said, see? You touched the child. He said, what you didn't see? He said, I thought I was dead. I thought I was dying. For someone to be so, and it's, like I said, he's not afraid of much, but we need to understand there are people who are truly fearful of these animals. And that's why I don't like to watch videos of people. Like, I would never take the snakes to a children's event that I know are easily irritated, right? I would take the ones that's going to be more convincing to a person that most likely are going to be handleable and things like that. So I don't understand. I don't like to see videos when people give people an animal that is defensive as a first time encounter. Because let me tell you something. There's one videos going out right now where the guy just dropped the snake. Y'all have to body slam him.
You mean the one with the photo with the photographer when he was taking the picture?
No, this is one where the person is handing this guy this snake, and the guy flips out and swings the snake.
And throws the snake.
Yes, I said it before. I don't know if I can say it, so I'm gonna censor myself. But I say I beat your ass. Every time I see it, I beat your ass. Because you just threw my child. Now I gotta really and that's my thing. That gummit, if you know let me know something. Shoot, just say, hey, okay, people, shoot, you walking around, you got the snake, and people, oh, it's a snake. Oh my gosh, I want to take a picture with it. If you know that snake, because it ain't dead, if you know if that snake gonna move, you gonna throw my snake, I'm catching a charge. I don't care. All the way around, I'm catching a charge because you knew that if that daggone thing moved, you was gonna act a fool. I don't know what you think this is. That's my child.
We had another school to come down just to see because they saw my snakes on YouTube and they came just to see. And so it's about 10 kids. And eventually, by the end of the day, all except for one had touched or held the snakes. And that one, they were trying to convince her to touch it. And so they had kind of cornered. I said, oh, no, we're not cornering anybody. If they're afraid, leave them alone, because that would just make it worse. And I snaked one young man. I can't say little boy because he was a teenager. And he snuck over there and she started screaming. I told him, I said, I hope you have a lot of money, and you better have it on you now, because if she reaches over to punch you, because she said, I'm gonna hit you. I said, if she reach over to hit you and she mess around and hit my snake, then you're gonna pay me. I don't know where you're gonna get the money from, but you're gonna pay me before you leave out this door. And he said,
And
but
that's why all my snakes are insured. That right there. All of them have health insurance.
and what are you? I didn't understand. So what's the point? Are you trying to get a laugh, or are you trying to help her get over her fears? Because there's a difference, and you're not doing either one of them in this building.
Right.
So, you have to just set those boundaries and stuff, but I can't stand it, because my whole thing is I want people to not be afraid of them.
Right.
When I let them touch them, I hold the head, you can hold the tail, I try everything. But like I said, out of about 10 people, 9 were okay with the snakes by the time they left. My aunt is the one that brought them, and she said, she looked at her from the beginning, and she said, oh, that snake got a good head on him. Oh, it real good right there. I said, wait, hold on. You gonna tell me this right here to my face? She said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that, but that's the first thing my mind goes to, because you know how we was raised. You kill it first, you ask questions later. By the end of the day, my aunt had held all 10 snakes that I brought and everything. She had a whole different attitude with it. So she understands. But you can't do this if you're chasing people and letting extremely afraid people hold stuff. Oh, plus, like you said, you gonna owe me some money. I'm like,
my sister-in-law is definitely afraid of snakes, and at the time, because I had just got my baby boys, they were brand new to me, so I'm like, I ain't taking no chances. But I know Kamea, man, I know you could touch it. Kamea, big old puppy dog, she come right up to you for affection. It's the craziest thing. And they say they can't feel love and affection. Bull.
So that's even an ongoing study too. So let me tell you something I noticed about that. And people who say that they don't, okay, if you haven't never experienced it, I get it. I'm not even arguing what others believe. I can only talk about what I actually seen in now going on to 32 years of reptile ownership. A snake, just like a dog, knows when you're injured. My big snakes, for an example, when I was down, my snakes knew, and I swear, whereas though retics, you're going to get in different moves. Some moves they might want to just come out on their own. Other times you might have to go in and pull them out. That whole period, if anyone watched, you still saw me taking pictures with retics because the snake was so accommodating to me. T'Challa, instead of me having to lift her, knew something about my positioning, and she will come right over my shoulder and just kind of just hang there. Don't want to do no more than that. So for the people who say they don't, let me just say this. It was a total difference again when I healed. How she was and how she was acting. So I know that it's not enough for us to understand, because they can't really show, like even with dogs can show you in their eyes and things like that. Snakes don't have those capabilities, but I can tell you in the behavior. Watch the adjusted behavior if you're injured or not feeling well. Again,
when I got COVID, Kamea did that. She would check on me if I got up because she was in my bedroom. I got a 1-bedroom apartment. My bathroom was in there, in my bedroom. Kamea would check on me if I could. She's a hider. Kamea don't come out of her hide until maybe at night, and that's it. You will not catch that girl out. But when I had COVID, she's sticking her head out, and she turned and she looked at me. It wasn't just sticking out. It would turn and look at me, and then I say, I'm good, Kamea. She'd go back in the hide. If I got up to go to the bathroom, she would be all the way out of the hide, like as if I'm looking around because this enclosure is only allowing me to see so much. And okay, you're back. I'm going in the hide. I don't know what. I don't know.
Yeah.
Y'all make me jealous because I don't think my snakes care about me that much. They
Oh,
don't
they
check
Yes,
do
on
because
I'm
they
me.
know
telling
they
you.
feed
But
you. They
again,
know
so
she feeds me. I care about her because if
Yeah,
something
like
but
happens to me,
the
I
experience
understand.
is going to be different depending on where you are. Like, so for me, like my ball pythons who are pets are totally different from my breeding ball pythons.
mhm.
I don't deal with the breeders as much as I deal with the pet ones. So Busy, my favorite one, which is a spider ball python, no wobble or anything. And I just think that Busy is always comfortable. Busy is my number one breeder. Busy don't have no problem with locking up with anybody. Okay, where you put me, here you go. Okay, um, he's always been a great eater. But what I noticed is that as he got older, first he used to be, you could even go near his enclosure with food, and he would strike at the enclosure.
Oh
Now
wow.
you literally can put the food, have food in one hand and hold him in another hand, and he will not react until you say we're feeding. It all depends on the relationship, and then if you had them from birth and how that relationship was from birth, specifically with the larger snakes,
Mhm.
particularly the Burmese and the retic. The retic that you did not
Mhm.
raise is going to be totally different from the retic that you did. So I try to make sure that anytime I introduce any of my animals, which is rare because people know I don't like anybody really touching my animals. I don't know where your hands been, all that kind of stuff. But there are times like Q really pushed me last year, to go out in the public and share, the experience. And the day I did, it was amazing. It was me, my son, and my granddaughter. And people were they had enlightening moments that day. And so I'm glad that I did. But I still won't take my animals around other reptiles. I still won't. I don't know what other
Right.
reptiles might carry and things like that. I don't have average animals, and I want my money's worth out of all of them in a life
Uh-huh.
span, right? So I choose not to do that. No different that I'm careful about what animals I bring into my home. Once you have a bad experience, Melanie, you know what I'm talking about. Your whole mindset changes of
Mhm.
how you engage with your animals. But I also think that it can be a time where your animals are too young to be brought around people as well.
I agree.
And we
Mhm.
got to be careful of that because
Mhm.
a young retic, although might be very calm with me and the people in my household, I mean, down to even to Charlotte, I'll use her for example. My husband particularly don't like to get too close to her, but she's very different from when he's trying to get the door off for me to get the poop out than him just getting the door off. She looks at him differently. Okay, why are you over here? She might slide over there if it's no poop in here. Opposed to it's pooping here, and that's the dude that she goes to get to take these doors off because it's a little heavy on this side for her.
Right.
She acts differently. She'll get out the way and let us do what we have to do. And that takes some type of intelligence. Now, scientifically, they may not be able to explain it, but that takes intelligence. That's not a
All
snake
my
just being
snakes are like
impulsive.
that.
Just to
It
be
takes
able
some
to put a
intelligence.
difference, like he's not coming in here to hurt
Hey,
me.
Wiz.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming in here because I got poop in the corner.
Right,
My
right.
snakes are like
And I'm
that
gonna
with
let
my
him do that
roommate.
today, right now.
Right.
Right.
My roommate, for some reason, my snakes are. They want to explore with me. I can't get not near one of them to sit still when it comes to me. But God forbid the roommate goes, she goes to get one. Couch potatoes. We'll watch TV with you. And I'm like, so why can't you just lay in the bed with me? Why do you want to
Mm-mm.
be curious with me? I want to chill out sometimes.
Right.
Yeah,
Gambit is a
no.
prime freaking example. That one right there, the one that I put up, Gambit, my big boy, love him to death. He's chill with her. With me, he's like, oh, you're gonna walk me around the house. You're
Uh-huh.
gonna set me somewhere. I'm
See?
gonna go explore. Boy, I'm bringing you on here so people can see your beauty and you be calm. But no, you want to go explore. Jerk.
Even with the Asian water monitor, I was telling Q one day, because if y'all notice, I never take him, y'all never see him in the house like you see the Tagoos. The Tagoos, when they up, which they are now, Lord Jesus, you'll see them in the house. The Asian water monitor, when we moved him into the larger enclosure in the garage, he is only cool if it's me by myself walking in there. Now, other people can go in there, but he won't move. He'll freeze. But if I'm by myself, he will, come towards me. You know, he don't feel no need to hide or whatever. He'll swim and all that other stuff. But if I try to take him from that area of the house into the house, he instantly gets fearful. Like he instantly knows that there's other people or things in there, and I'm just not ready for that yet. So we continually to gradually do it, because if you take the water monitor and just bring them in the house, you're going to freak it out and it's never going to come in the house again. And so those small buildings of trust works not just for snakes, but even the larger lizards. So when we see people handling the king cobra, even though that's not for all of us, not for me, when we see people handling their alligators and their crocodiles, which it may not be for everybody, it's definitely for me. If my husband ever let me get one, I promise you I'll be the best.
I'm speaking it for you, sis. I'm speaking it for you, sister.
Atmosphere.
I want you to have that alligator, because if I ever make it to Baltimore, Maryland, I am coming in there to see that joker. And so I'm gonna need your husband to get with the program now, okay? Because Maki needs to see. Maki lives in cubic centimeters, okay? I need this to happen.
Yes.
I'm selfish over here.
You seem like a great teacher, ma'am. Right, AJ? We all are. Experience is the best teacher.
That was something that made me real happy to do, was to actually help a friend of mine who had a friend that had a ball python, and the ball python was pushing, which is not normal. Well, I mean, let me say not normal, but I heard like retics or boas, them the ones.
Boas and
they
retics.
push.
Yeah,
They like to push when they're uncomfortable. And the ball python was pushing, and I went over there and I checked them out and said, oh, if the humidity's not right, you got to put them up a little bit. That felt good.
Or sometimes with the retics, they just want to come out. So if you ever see a retic who's at the door, like some of mine that would do that, like the tiger pie, he'll come to the door. If I sit here, like when I first come in this room, he always want to come out. He was chilling, could be asleep. Oh, you in here? He wants to come out. But what I love about that, I never have to turn off his feed response. I can just unlock the door, open it, and he just comes out. That's what you want in a retic. I have that with 1, 2, 3 of them.
That's amazing to me. The amount of, I don't know, I guess, because I don't know, emotionally, just to be able to watch a personality of something that I can't we got science on cats, we got science on dogs, we got science on rats, we got science on people, we got science for everything, it seemed like, but definitive answers on reptiles. And to be able to just take my mind away. Like, I just got in an accident on Thursday. Like, I totaled out my car on Thursday, and I'm still okay because I'm coming to check on y'all, and you're doing something different than I saw you do before. It's such an amazing thing to be able to bond and be around and be with. And it just take you. I'd be ready to get off. I don't care about people. I don't even want to go have drinks no more. I just want to get off and go check on I just love to check on them. Like, I just love to check on them.
Michael once said, they depend on me. They depend on me. So imagine being a child growing up with special needs. And what a lot of people don't understand, those children normally feel isolated or intentionally isolate themselves because of the ridicule or people who misunderstand their disability, the teasing and stuff like that. Now, Michael might not have experienced that much as most people. His mother would fight somebody's child, and he always knew that. But there are a lot of people who may not have the, might have the mother who rather not go to jail over their child, but I wouldn't mind. So Michael might have had it as much, but I do know that for a lot of his classmates, I shared last week with some that we actually took in one of his classmates. We fostered her for years until she graduated from high school and she was grown, and she didn't have the family. Like, we have a very strong family unit. D, we know you have a very strong family unit. Everybody don't have that. So children with special needs who don't have that, sometimes they feel alone in the world. And then you give them something that depends on them, and they see the world through a whole different lens. I love to see Michael. I didn't even know Michael knew how to do TikTok and Instagram. And I'm on his phone one day, and he's showing off the animals on TikTok and Instagram. I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that you were familiar with that. You know, you get to see them use the animals to create those relationships as
Yeah.
well.
It
And
Mhm.
gives
I
them a sense of personality. Like it gives
yes,
the, oh well, I can teach you something, you know. Well, let me tell you something that I know that you may not know. You know,
Yes.
it gives
yep,
them almost a sense of identity, or that like I'm standing out not because I'm different, but
mm-hmm,
because I know something that you don't. You know,
mm-hmm,
it's like that sense of feeling needed, you know, because it's like when you have sometimes when you have those types of disabilities, you spend so much time depending on other people and needing other people, you know, to do stuff for you. And then
Yeah.
one thing, it's like, oh, you need me to help you. You know,
yep,
that feeling of being responsible for something.
It's
And
a respect thing. I almost feel
yeah.
like I feel like people have who I only went to school with kids and peers that were in the same cases as your children,
Mhm.
and uh, it was an amazing thing. I'll never forget Charlie Knowlton. I love that boy to death. He has Down syndrome, and I love him to death. But I'll never forget. It was a total. He was having a bad week. We were both having a bad week,
mm-hmm,
and it was because and when he had a bad week, you know, they teach you in the school, you always help Charlie. You know, you help Charlie when he's having a bad week or a bad day. And I was crying over something. I think I was getting bullied on the playground. And Charlie came over and he just rubbed my back and he said, "It's okay. It's okay, Mikey. It's gonna be fine. We gonna be fine." And it was something totally after that, his week went away. His whole bad, whatever the heck was going on,
right,
gone. Just at the blink of an eye. And I thought that was beautiful.
yeah.
And so I agree with that. That's a beautiful sentiment right there.
Keisha, AJ, if y'all still here, we're going to just speak that into existence. So yes, June 11th, Kiki will be on Reptiles and Cocktails. It's confirmed in my heart. Oh God, yeah,
So
that's my name.
where is everyone from?
I'm from Mississippi. Can't
Oh,
you
Ah,
tell?
well,
Can't you
yes, but
tell?
that's the thing. So like being from Hawaii, yeah, and this is kind of messed up, but everybody in Hawaii think that everybody on the mainland have um that good old Texas accent. You know what I'm saying? They think that's how everybody on the mainland speaks. So like for me, I'm hearing a bunch of different accents, and that's just as much as the reptiles are just beautiful to me. I think your accents are so beautiful.
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Baltimore. Q's still here. I'm not from Baltimore anymore. Like this is he's gonna get me every time I say it. I live in Fort Washington, Maryland. I lived in the DC area for years though. But I'm not
Okay.
from Baltimore anymore. But all of my family's here in Baltimore. I spend a lot of time there. I always mess with Q. You never can tell until I start dancing.
Well,
And all
look, I
club
don't have
music
no
come on
rhythm.
and everything just come out
I
of
don't
me.
know how I don't know how I'm
yeah,
black and
Oh,
Hawaiian and have
really? You?
no rhythm
How do
at
you
all.
not?
that footwork be
I,
different.
you asking
You,
the wrong one because
you.
everybody.
First off, you black. Second off, you're from Hawaii. Oh my
No,
gosh.
I'm not just from Hawaii. I am Hawaiian. I
Oh,
speak
you
Hawaiian.
got
two.
two. Oh Lord, no.
I
Go
don't
back
know
and
how.
come again.
Look,
Go back and come again. Cause
hey,
no.
look. You see everybody do haka. You know, with
Yes,
for graduations and stuff. Oh, that's
yes.
easy. Okay, I can men's hula all I want to. I can do the masculine hula all I want to. This whole moving the hips and stuff. The man, my club sisters get on me because there's a thing in Kansas City. It's called two-stepping. I
Yeah.
can't two-step. I don't know what that is. I keep trying, and I'm embarrassed. So
Wait,
you
y'all,
from
I am dying
Mississippi?
laughing at some of these comments in the chat. So first of all, those of you who are still with us, I'm so sorry. I told you in the beginning because it would be four of us on the panel today. It was going to be kind of hard to stay in contact with the chat. Jamal, I am dying if you still here. I told when I was 10 feet away from him and then talked to him. Boy, shut up. He's commenting on the reptile community. Be quiet. Let's see. see who else we got.
Where are you from, Diaz?
Definitely AJ, definitely. And so what I want to do, I do want to touch on this, and Raina, if you're still here. So Raina wanted to touch on why don't we share unfavorable or negative content in the bro group. As you guys know, I am an admin of the Black Reptile Owners Group, a proud admin of the Black Reptile Owners Group. Raina and I are the only two females who are admins in the group, and we kind of balance each other. So we come to conclusions a lot and discuss what we will display and what we want the image of the group to be. So without going into details, there's this whole beef going on about live feeding between people that we both support. You know, one, for me personally, I keep it real. Everybody knows that Kevin McCurley is one of my all-time favorite people, and nothing and nobody can change that. However, even when it's Kevin and it's messy, we're not entertaining it. I gave my feedback to Nerd what I think about what's going on. I think that the other party is being a little extra and it's making it worse for the scenario. So we're not going to take a side of it either way. However, more into detail, I spend more time on YouTube watching videos than anybody. I know that we support everybody in bro. We watched that whole video, and don't just come back running to us when you act like you didn't know who I was or we were as Black Reptile Owners, okay? On that same footage that you did that video with Kevin McCurley. So I know some people are close in here who are close to me with Derek. That's the answer. We're not putting it out there in the atmosphere. We're not taking a position. I don't think Kevin's right. I don't think Derek's right. But it's not our place in Black Reptile Owners to work that out. He has a platform. Kevin has his platform. They have each other's phone number apparently because they did a whole YouTube podcast with each other. So for me, it's not my place or our place. But again, on behalf of Black Reptile Owners, for all people who are in the group, whether you're Black or white, we support you 100% if you support us. If you act like you know us, we'll show up. If you ever tried it, we'll show up.
Most of the time we have time.
If you know who we are.
So wait, I have a question. I have a question about that. So, and I don't want to disrespect it all, so forgive me and feel free not to answer. But what happened? Because Kevin McCurley, he's from Nerd, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. So
that's
not
the
to go
dude with
into
the long
detail.
hair.
Yeah, not to go into detail, but if you want to go to Nerd and look at any of the videos about live feeding, definitely go there. They have a very strong opinion about it.
I
don't want to get into all of that. That's, you know,
I know what you're talking about now.
I don't want to ever say, you know, I think that if it's your channel and your platform, you do what you want to do, but be prepared for the recourse that comes behind it, and don't expect Black Reptile Owners to support it when you didn't know who we were when you interviewed said person. And I'm gonna end it there.
I know what you're talking about now. I didn't realize. See, that's crazy because I thought that was about something totally different, and now I feel some type of way because I know exactly what you're talking about. And let me tell you, I agree. Where's the gavel? I need a gavel. I agree because I thought that was something totally different.
Yes. Nicole, you made me want to retake. I make everybody want to retake.
Yes,
that's the goal.
Never
that's
supposed
the goal.
This daggone big.
You did it for me. You did it for me. I was like, I'll never own a daggone retake because I don't perceive myself ever having space for a retake. But now I'm kind of like, I'm gonna do it.
And that's the reason why. But it's not because. So I feel like people made me think totally different of them. And had I not listened to other people, I would have owned them and had this wonderful experience much earlier in my life. So I try to show people the real, you know, and I'm honest about, you know, the behaviors, but I don't have issues with any of mine. I had 8. So how people say you're going to get that one, I mean, people were saying that since I got the first one, you know, and then there are some of the same people we're talking about today. There are men who are in the reptile community who swore someday that I was going to have a bad experience, and I keep putting shit on their face, and I show them the better and the better and the better experience. That's your experience with your retics. That's not mine, and this is what I'm doing over here. You can continue to watch Lady Tears Exotics for more details.
I love this energy. Come through with the mana. Please come through with the mana. I love that power. I think that's like the biggest thing too about being in Bro and seeing so many women.
It's insane to me. It's insane
that
to me.
Was
and one of the women that I'm going to have on in next couple weeks, Kendra, you know, technically she's very active in some of them same groups. And when I tell you, y'all just have to go look her up. She don't let everybody.
Who don't know her though? If you don't know
me,
her,
I'm new. I'm the baby face.
Beautiful.
Hold on, don't come for me like that, Melody. I don't.
She don't let everybody in. But if you get to follow her page, she does have it where you can follow. She made it clear that retics were just any other snake. And I remember in some of our private conversations, she shared some of the concerns that others would have, but she also shared concerns of how you should handle them and manage them so that they would not be this, that, and other. And then again, it's all about reading the snake. There are days that they might just don't want to be bothered, but they're not going to hurt me to tell me that. I'm smart enough. I can look at each one of them right now and tell you which one I can get out right now with no problem.
Yeah.
Just by looking, by what they're doing. So yeah, it's important to
for me,
definitely
Nicole and for you to have
mitochondria.
No. For me, you two have made me realize that I had big dreams to get big snakes. And I was like, yeah, no, that's a little, I'm going to draw the line there. I love them. I will babysit them for you, but I will not be owning one at all. It did make me look at it more of, not because of the food aggression or any of the negative things, is more of the size. I see, yep, though they're good, big animals, and I'm a little girl, so, and then it's just really me. Even though my husband and boys are always here, it's me. I'm the one's gonna have to deal with it, and then they live forever. So then there's that. You know, I said, yeah, no. You made me realize, I'm gonna stick with no on those, but I will keep yours. You need any babysitters? Let me know. I'll do that.
But I promise you, Melody, even though they're a bigger snake, if you can handle those boas, you will find they are easier to handle. I would tell people that all the time. It is harder for me to get a boa back in its enclosure than any reticulated python. The strength of a boa is different.
Okay.
You can get a retic to move. Yes, you can touch a retic in a certain kind of way, tickle the belly, whatever, and it moves. The boa be like, no. You're picking up the whole chair, and the boa, trying to get it.
I'll pick up my big girl, and I put her head in, and I'm getting the body in, and the head's coming out. No, hold on, come back around here. What you doing?
Oh my goodness! I never thought I would own big snakes. We had the ball python and had a few boas. And one day, Aunt Nicole was like, yeah, if you ever thinking about getting something bigger. And I'm like, well.
If I get a big snake, it's going to be a boa. I'm stopping at boa.
And her husband kept saying,
I think retics are beautiful, but I'm 5'1". There is no way. Okay, I'm 5'1" and a Scorpio. I don't like people. Okay, that's number one. So who's gonna help me? I'm 5'1". Okay.
The crazy.
Well, I'm only 5'3", and so let me tell you what I've experienced.
5'2" over here.
You got an extra 1 and 2 inches on me. Don't even go there.
I will say this. This is why I say start to handle them young, because I'll start to do more videos on this too. But if you watch my videos, I can get them to come out without ever having to pick them up, and they'll go back in without me ever having to pick them up. I have them that way. So you come out, you let them. Retics love exercise, number one. But when they tired, they go home.
They know.
When you start to hear heavy breathing, they start to find their way home, and they will leave the door open. I'll go back in.
But what happens when you don't want to come out? See, that's my thing. Again, I'm 5'1". What happens when you don't want to come out? And I know that you tired, and you got this big old pile of poop over there, and I'm sick of looking at it. I'm sick of smelling it.
They'll want to come out. So again, if it's poop in there, they're coming out. They want to come out. You'll see, like they want to come out. The challenge that I think where it's always good to have that second person is, and it's never happened that I know of. I know, it can happen. Just think of it, even if it's a boa though. Let's say, for instance, I follow all safety protocols. You've never seen me hold a retic, a big retic. Anything past 8 feet is not around my neck. You have me, you'll see it on my arm. You'll see it wrapped around my waist, coming across my arm, any other way. But what can happen for people who do carry them on their neck. So if you ever say that snake thinks it's falling for whatever reason, it's going to immediately come up and it's going to constrict. And with retics, the power is too late.
My husband says hi, people.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How's the husband, brother?
I didn't even see him come in the background. Hello.
Me neither. He snuck in there. He's got Negro and stuff.
When they come and they grab, by that time, the power of the grab is so powerful that it can injure you. So my recommendation to anybody, and it's something that everybody tells people, not just the retic, any big snake. There are children's pythons that you better not put around your neck.
Yeah. Another thing, I have a friend who raises worms really not too far from me. And he said one time he had been feeding the worms and one missed the rat and got his hand and wrapped him up like this, wrapped his hands like this. So he said it was about 2 hours before he could even open the door to get to his house where his parents were so they can help him. But, that's something that with dealing with big animals that you're going to always have to have somebody or some kind of emergency plan set up for anything, because they would never do it normally, but there's always that small chance that something unexpected could happen.
And this is why I don't own a boa, because I'm by myself all the time. That's exactly why I don't have a boa.
But that's safety protocols for that too. So
and out of the years that he's had them, it's only happened once. I've only been dealing with snakes for 3 years now, and I've not been bit at all, period. And I just knew when I got these boas, it was going to happen with them. It hasn't yet, and I want to keep it that way. But it's
not going to work.
Right. But we have to have things set up regardless. Hoping it never happens, but it's better to be prepared just in case. Don't ever say it can't or it won't, because it could. That will be the exact time when it does. So I'm always on my toes. I'm always looking. I just got a carpet from my brother the other day, and he's like, "Sis, watch out now. He ready. Anytime you open it, he think it's time to eat. So be careful." So I know I got to watch. But
well, with rule of thumb, like even with the retics, and none of mine I'm concerned about, but what Melody said, just in case, there is a bottle of alcohol, there's a bottle of hand sanitizer, and a bottle of cold water. Now with retics, I have found my pod, when one day she accidentally bit herself, striking at her food, and this is the funniest story. Fool, you're biting yourself. Fool, you're biting yourself. And the alcohol, I don't want to put alcohol in my especially a baby retic, because they'll remember that. Now you're the person with the alcohol.
Oh yeah.
But cold water in a retic's mouth will get them to release right away.
Really?
Right away, no doubt. And you have to know and study those things before getting the animal. So it's definitely not like an impulse animal. Like even with convincing Dee to get them, I'm giving her all of things. Like one day Dee was holding it, and I was like, Dee, don't hold it like that.
Don't hold it like that.
I'm going to always give that education. Now the problem is, to what Melody's saying, there are some people who say, "Oh, I know my snake. I know my snake. I know my snake." Let's go back to the fact that it's an instinctive animal.
Mhm.
So in
Very
the
good.
time of trouble, it's going to use its superpowers
Mhm.
to
Yep.
get
Yeah.
in trouble. And you might get caught up in between. So you have to have the protocols in place. There is all, I mean, I have everything to what Melody said in reach. Because if I'm in this room, that bottle that's in the other room is not going to help
It's
me in
not
this
gonna
room.
help.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
Exactly.
dragging a 16-foot snake, squeezing
Thank
your
you.
hand, cutting off your circulation to the next room.
Dude, Kamea is
Right.
only maybe 2 feet long, and she got me on the finger. Oh, this made me so mad. The daggone mouse got out in my car. The mouse got out of the container in my car.
Ooh.
So I had to go pick it up, and I had it. And I said, okay, well, I'm not really, I had rats as pets before, so I'm not worried about the daggone stupid mouse bit me. That made me more mad than anything.
Yes.
And I took it in there, and I went to get, because I was feeding Kamea. And Kamea missed the mouse and got me. And I have hand sanitizer, and I was like, oh no, that's my baby. I'm not going to do that. So I went and I got some daggone minty toothpaste and put it right on the mouth. And she let go. And I said, oh, okay, good to know. And then she hated me for a week. That was the thing.
Yep. And then,
That was
it's
the
other
thing.
protocols of, and this is something too, when you're teaching children, you have to teach, like I always tell Skylar, because Skylar is very comfortable with the snakes, to understand if and when a snake bite, what to do.
Mhm.
And to hear, like literally to hear her talk sometimes, or when she's talking to her mom or somebody else about snakes, and she's educating them, the kids retain all of that. And
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Skylar loves not just telling you, touch the snake, hold the snake. She wants to let you know how to hold them, what happens if the snake bites.
Yes.
She's not afraid if the snake bite. She's prepared that can happen any day because the things that she's being taught. So the other part behind it all is educating people and people willingness to understand. And I had, even at my conference, one of my coworkers who work on the corporate level as well came to me, and she just said how much she enjoyed watching my snakes. She would never own them. She said, I still think you're crazy.
Uh-huh.
She said, but I think it's pretty cool that they walk around your house. And she was sharing that with some of the people she was walking with. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I didn't even know that she was that in tune, into the snakes. And I think, again, people are always watching us. And in order for us to get these animals as approved as service animals, we're going to just kind of need to not be so, how can I say, eager to overexpose them. And to, first of all, some people are doing things with reptiles and haven't even owned reptiles long enough to be that comfortable with it. That can be a bad thing. You can't educate on something that you're still asking a whole bunch of questions on yourself.
Mhm.
Can you
Exactly.
master that first before you want to go take them out into the world?
Right.
Mhm.
I think that's very important. If it was a long time before I even took my reticulated pythons around other people, other than some of the girls in the group who I knew would be familiar with how to handle and own snakes. But it's a long time since I took my retics because naturally people see the sides and they become instantly intimidated. So I had to be assured that my retics are non-reactive in the sunlight, because a lot of people don't realize reptiles who don't spend a lot of time in natural sunlight can have a total different temperament, particularly a retic, if you just all of a sudden take them in the sunlight. Retics are the fat people of the python world. They don't want to be hot. They don't want to be hot. They'll get irritated. I don't know why.
I feel personally
spend their
attacked.
time in the poolside. I'm just saying. They don't want to be
attacked.
Shoot, I don't want to be hot.
They want the fan and the AC.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
Though. I feel that.
They're
Though.
not
I
like the
do.
ball python. The ball python is good at 87, 90 degrees. You get a retic too long at 90 degrees, you might get got.
Really?
See, and this is something that I think is beautiful as far as like the emotional part. Because like I said, man, I'm going through it right now, like actively. Right now, I just totaled out my car. They're not telling me what they're going to do about it. And it's frustrating, and I just started a job. So they're looking at my stuff. They're like, oh, we're not going to give you a loan because you only had that car for 2 months and this, that, and the third. And it's stressful. But the ability that this one little thing that ain't got no arms, no legs, nothing, this little old noodle allowed me to be able to come on a platform where then I can identify and feel like I feel like y'all people. Y'all my people now. Y'all gotta add me on the social. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I made friends, which for somebody who lives like a hermit, like myself, because I'm a real Scorpio, and I'm coming after Nicole with this because I commented on something she posted about Geminis. She know how I feel about Geminis. I don't mess with people like that. So I think it's so emotionally, like even right now, I'm like, I don't care what's going on. I'm talking snakes with my sister. And this is amazing. This is dope. I'm learning about reticulated pythons. Probably will never own one, but I will definitely show up to your house so I can feel what you feel from the reticulated python.
Oh, see, no, you don't want to do that because once you do it, you're going to get one. I tell anybody that. Once I put a retic in your hand and you spend 5 minutes with it, one of mine's anyway. I'm not saying everybody's retic. You might have a whole other experience somewhere else. But one of mine's, you're going to want to retic. It's no
See,
doubt.
That's what happened when I went to this daggone pet store. I had no intention of getting no daggone boa. Actually, I had no intention of really wanting a big ball python. I was like, okay, it's going to get big. Okay. Man, I didn't want a bearded dragon either. Man, all these little nuances that I had a bearded dragon just sitting here. I walked around the whole pet store. He was chilling. And one time he went and sat on my hat and I thought I was going to drop him. And I got scared. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm getting a bearded dragon. I'm getting a boa. I got to get like 3 or 4 more ball pythons. And then somebody told me about the daggone morphs of ball pythons. Now I'm all in the clown. I didn't know anything about a clown.
And there are as many retic morphs.
That's what trips me out with them because I know I'm gonna end up with 2 or 3 retic because I always want the normal. I always want the normal in any reptile. I always want the normal, so that's automatically 1. Then there's a darker one. Like I'm telling you, if I find a melanistic ball python, like a real dark. If I find a really dark ball python,
Stop the press. Chip Endo was in my chat. Is Chip still in my chat?
Who's Chip Endo?
Wait a minute, stop the press.
Clean cages.
Is Chip still in my chat? So let me tell y'all something, right? When I tell you that there's people who don't even know how much you follow them, first of all, Chip probably is the only other person who talks about retics as passionately as I do. His education goes years back. His delivery, you might not like it, but it's true. I'm just honored. Thank you, Chip, if you're still here. If not, I'm going to send you a personal message. Thank you for coming through. Big retic guy, big animal lover. He has it a little bit of it all. And his education goes deeper than retics in captivity. So I really, 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 really appreciate his comments. I wish I had seen it. So Chip says retics need clean cages, especially if your cage is not big enough.
Oh, wow.
And retics especially need interaction, and you can develop a great bond.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away. Okay, thank you, Chip. And,
I'm so happy that happened for you.
Look at the comments now, guys. I done missed Chip in my chat.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm excited. I'm sorry.
Chip said, my piece is sitting in facility with my animals. Heidi, animals have senses we can't even understand. Agreed.
So much.
Chip has an alligator. I know that for a fact. He said, I love my alligators, so smart and act like dogs. All retics can be like that, but most people that keep retics treat them like money objects, not pets, and it's disgusting because they are so smart and want to interact.
I think
that's the
beautiful.
difference. I tell people it's no magic with
it. That's a hit.
That's it right there. That's it. Let's see who else. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of comments. I want to get some of the ones seen.
Mikey, you gonna have to come.
I didn't come with shots. People be shooting shots at me. Like I be trying to be humble.
There was a video you did that I was like, oh, I'm not messing with Nicole. I am never. It was some. I don't remember. You were chilling with the puppy, your little dog, and you were talking about, man, we as a community got to do X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was like, wait, hold on, wait a minute. Let me go sit back and go look and research.
Nicole
Actually,
is
you know what?
wrong.
You know what, Nicole, you are a big reason why I started getting into US art. Like I felt proud of myself. I started paying for US art. And
Hold on, there you go. Boom.
see, boom. And I was like, oh my gosh, because then I started looking at it. I was like, man, US art is the reason why it is putting out things that would make it. Because when I didn't know that reptiles, that's not a word, Lord have mercy. Reptiles could be emotional support animals and any of that. I didn't know that. But then I started looking, I was like, man, if you write US art are the people that they really go to bat for you. And I've been in programs where I'm like, man, y'all ain't really going to bat for nobody though.
Wait a minute, Chip is still here. Don't go nowhere, Chip. Hold on.
He's excited.
Okay, guys. So
Are you fangirling right now, Nicole?
She is
Right.
hella hard. Look at
Because
this.
let me tell y'all don't understand. Chip ain't with the bullshit. Let me just say that right now. The fact that he saw the title and entered, I'm honored. I am a huge fan of his and his delivery when it comes to reticulated pythons. Chip, I don't know if you noticed, I'm always commenting on your live videos. He's probably the only person that I had for a moment who's been owning retics for a long time. So he's seen them all. He's seen the one straight out of Indonesia. He's seen wild caught that had to be tamed down. He's seen it all. And some people can't get past what they think they are.
Mm.
Chip, you've always shared my passion for them. You made me understand the proper care of them. When people saw me start off with 8x3x3 enclosures, a lot of people disagreed with that. It's going to be too small and too big for the snake. The snake is going to come off food. I never had that happen. I actually done a couple videos on my YouTube channel. You'll see me introducing a snake from his quarantine tub straight into a 8-footer. What I gave them was multiple hides, multiple sources of water, including one to swim. They the happiest damn retics when you put them in a bigger enclosure at a smaller size. I don't care what nobody say. If you create the environment conducive to what they need, and I'm just done. You know what? We ain't gotta say no more. Chip is in here.
Hey, no.
This made my day. Nothing else needs to happen today. Chip and Go is in.
Look, the way
Happy
that
Mother's Day to Nicole.
The way that Nicole is feeling about Chip being in here is exactly the way I feel about being in here with y'all.
Right.
I kid you not. Like, I kid you not. I've never messaged nobody from YouTube or nothing. And I'm telling you, I got a message from you, Nicole. When I got a response, wait a minute. No, when I got a response from you and Vaughn, and when I saw Melody on here one time, oh man, when I actually got a response, I think I saw it at like 12 a.m. I went in there, I woke my roommate up, I shook her, I said, look, I'm about to be on a live with these guys. And she, man, when I said I was gonna get a daggone snake, I was watching you, I was watching Melody, I was watching Snake Discovery, I was watching Nerd. What's the one guy? He's really smart. He reminds me of Spot. Clint on Clint's Reptiles. Him. I was watching everybody. When I got a response that said we were from Nicole that said yes, you can come. I said, oh my goodness, oh my Lord. I popped a bottle. I only had one bottle of champagne, and that's what I popped it for. Was that response on Instagram? So I feel it over here. I do. It's
I am
honor.
glad. I am
It's
glad.
an honor.
So what I tried to do is, and I kind of put it on Instagram earlier. Although yes, we all do YouTube for personal reasons. Mine is not about necessarily getting monetized, although that would be great. But I want the message more than the monetization. I make good money. YouTube don't have to ever pay me. I am positioned in life and blessed. But the message is most important. So again, you never know where your audience is reaching. So I'm glad, Mikey, I would have never known that I had any impact on on your decision making, right?
I'm telling you.
When you reached out to me, I try to be very humble too. So going back to, I'm not gonna go back there. Some people get into this and they become big headed, right? And the very same people that reached out to them a long time ago, they're now finding important today. I'm going to always find the importance of the person who just started like you, Maki, all the way up to the Ozzy Boys of the world, the Chip Endos of the world, the Kevin McCurleys of the world. I'm going to always have my platform to reflect that. And always, I represent, our community as well, because a lot of
and that's beautiful.
They exist. So I typically, a lot, like you talk about Vaughn and people like that, I support people who support me.
There you go.
And I say this.
There you go.
Even if it's financially, there are people that I was supporting because I love their brand or what they were doing, even before they supported me. So let's not get that twisted. You don't have to support me to support you.
Right.
But when you're not getting support, when you're not getting support and you're trying to pull support to you, I'm not going to be able to willingly to do that when you don't support the platforms that I actually, see people supporting each other. Keys constrictors. I mean, when I tell you that 60% in this chat, people in this chat are people that I met through Keys constrictors, and we support each other all day, every day. There are some days that I am on lives from 4:00 to 2 a.m. supporting each other. But it's a positive image. Let's go here. Exuding positive energy only. We all have our opinions. We can disagree in love, but I'm very observant. As Chit just said, he watched me more than I know. I'm still flattered, but there are other people who need to understand that other people are watching what we do, what we say, in the delivery thereof. And the reason why I talk about the proper images that we put out there is, Chip mentioned he's been doing this for 30 plus years. I'm not as young as I look. I tell people all that time, I'm almost 50. So some of these people who are challenging me on ideology, you're children. You don't even have the experience that I have.
Right.
You have no clue. You have no clue. So I'm not even going to entertain you. I'm somewhere else with these other people who can educate me and entertain my education on ball python breeding, since I've taken that route. Because Chip, if you're still here, I did not go reticulated python breeding because of you. And I'm going to tell you why. Chip made me realize that there's enough there's a lot of reticulated pythons already being bred. And if you can't take care of them the way that they're supposed to be taken care of, I don't want to bring more reticulated pythons in captivity to live mediocre lives. They're naturally only going to get mediocre because I can't give them all a jungle to live in, right? That's mediocre enough. Right. But if you can't give them the very best that you can in your own home, I don't want to contribute to that. So I rethought that process of what I wanted to breed. Now, I will say this. I may still, down the line, breed the Tiger Pied or the Motley, the Golden Child, the Motley, the Motley Golden Child son. I might. But even in that, it's going to be a time where there is some type of educational purpose for them, or some type of place where I can kind of preserve them in an educational realm, but not to sell to people who are not going to properly take care of them. Right. And that man is the reason why I changed my mindset. And if anybody know, when I bought these, that's why I spent so much money on these retics. I bought them in intent to breed them.
You did.
Again, knowing that in this, you have to take the information that you get and process it your way. I may not have. Some people might interpret that and still think they want to breed. For me, I knew that may not be the best route to go, especially with everything that's going on right now in the state of the nature of reptile ownership. So could you imagine breeding snakes that can produce 50 eggs, right? Right. And then all of a sudden you can't transport them across state lines. What do you think people are going to do with those animals? I don't want that to happen. So we have to definitely take the education. Like right now, one of the reasons why I am totally engaged with my ball python community more now than ever is because I know a lot about ball python keeping. That's where I started. But breed now, I was dumb as a crumb, okay? And I had all of these people around me who are very positive, who are continuously educating me and supporting me and don't make you feel stupid about it. They love the animals so much that they want to make sure that if this is the lane that I'm going down, that I'm going to be successful. There are people who would tell me, get this snake and get this snake in hopes that I breed something better than them.
And that's what I love about bro, man. I'm telling you, I will never forget. And it sits. We have a saying in Hawaii: you don't fight good mana. You do not fight good energy, because that good energy gonna be returned. And when I miss, I'm put it out there because I'm gonna do it. I'm a sensitive. I'm sensitive. I'm gonna do it. I messaged Nicole because I was sitting at work. And at the time, I was working at this freaking vape shop. I don't work there no more. Thank you for the come up, Jesus. But I was sitting there and I was losing my mind because it was not a very fast shop. It's not like we got a lot of business. I was a manager, so it was nothing for me to do. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something spur of the moment. I messaged Nicole and I said, thank you so much for just getting me through this horrible work day. Thank you so much. And she struck a conversation with me. and I said, I love what you're doing with the retakes. I love the fact that you're into ball python breeding. You and Precious are dope. The bro community is amazing. I didn't even know you were in bro. I've been watching your videos for months at this point.
Wow.
Had no idea that you were in bro. A lot of the YouTubers that I realized I was watching, I'm like, holy crap, that's so from bro. And then I'll never forget, I made a post about something. I made a post about taking my baby to work with me because I was working at a vape shop. There's no reason she can't come sit with me. So, and you liked it or hearted it and said something about don't travel with her this way, do this.
That's
and
right.
I was
the animal.
I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this person who has this platform is recognizing little old me. And I was like, oh, she's a person. She's not a YouTuber. She's not, she's a people. And I like people. You know, so I think I love it. The amount of not just owning this, not just the amount, just you got the snake. That's where it started. I got the daggone snake. And then I said, okay, I'm going to look and see. There's got to be somebody else that's black like me. I'm going to look. So I find a group. Then I find out that there's women. There's mad women that are doing this. I'm like, wait a minute.
So let me tell you a secret.
Boom, boom, boom.
There's more women in the hobby statistically than it is
We're
men.
just quiet.
Well, I need y'all not to be quiet, okay? I can't be loud. I can't be just loud by myself.
Yes. And again, I feel like, and I appreciate that feedback, and that's always who I'm going to be. That's always who even at work, my title, you never hear me say it. My team will say it all the time because it's irrelevant. I am part of the company. I'm a part of my team. If I start to flex my title, somebody in trouble. Because that's the only time it matters.
Yeah.
Other than that, it doesn't matter anywhere else. So I would say this, to which you said, there are so many people in this hobby who forget the impact that we can have on the youths. The people who do not own or never own, just started owning. The educational piece, and I thank you because everybody don't receive that, okay, when I say, can you please secure the animal and things like that? It's not about you.
She came to me like a big sister, bro. She came to me like a big sister. She was like, do not do this. And I said, okay, I won't. Yes,
if you have an accident, and I said this to you before, D2, if you have an accident, a car accident, with a reptile around your neck, right? So this is a car accident where even if you have a child, you don't know where your child body might go in that car, okay? Ambulance show up.
And they won't come
help.
help.
They see is a damn snake
They will not
The
help.
people in the world are terrified of snakes.
Yeah.
You're in a life-threatening situation. That minute of screaming and all of that stuff they want to
Could
do
have
Might
to her,
saved your life. And
could
that's
have saved your
exactly
life.
how she broke it down to me.
Yep.
And I said, oh my
But
God, I
see,
never
the
even thought
problem
about it
is,
like that.
I'm telling that to you, but that's how we protect the hobby. Because let's say you have an accident, and let's say it's Taco in the car.
Oh, God.
And
Lord, not
Taco
Taco,
bites
Jesus.
the paramedic. And now
Right.
Taco, the king cobra, has
Mhm.
bit the paramedic. We're all on the news, and here
Yeah.
we go again.
That's gonna be the whole.
Negative image
And
of
that's the
reptiles.
thing that people get me with. I swear, every time, no matter what, if I bring somebody to my house, my snakes ain't getting out. It's like almost impossible. I don't know how many times you want to ram your face into a wall, but they have to do that to be able to get out. They're not getting out to get you. And the statistics show that there's more dog killings than there is any snake in this country. I mean, it's so minuscule comparatively.
But
And
that's
it kills me that people
of
go
what we
ahead,
put
I'm
in front of people when it comes down to the hobby. You know, when they say, well, why don't
right.
you post this or why don't you post that? Because if we're trying to build a more trustworthy relationship with the public, you know, so you're not going to keep putting in the forefront, especially, you know, it's a misrepresentation of what actually happened. You know, when
I
they
feel the
show
same
these
way about
videos
reptiles the way
of
I
these
do about
snakes
pit bulls.
attacking people, but they never show, you know, the snake's demeanor before it happened, or
Yep.
what the person was doing to the snake before.
Exactly.
It's no way the snake just woke up and was like, "I'm gonna eat you today." You know,
That's
You're
right.
on the menu. Like
Right.
That's right. That's
and
right.
people too that with pit bulls, and that kills me because people will go to arms for pit bulls. Like I remember, I kid you not, in the state of Missouri, Independence, the city that I live, there is an ordinance that you cannot have a pit bull because of X, Y, and Z. But when you look all over social media, it's all these adult, and I love pit bulls. I want a pit bull just because I want somebody to be like, it's this, that, and the third, so I can school them real quick. And you know, they out here, and you see all the social media, these cute, adorable little pit bulls. That's why I be telling people, look, I've told so many people, go on TikTok. If you don't do anything else, just go on my TikTok. Kamea has a favorite freaking hoodie of mine. She sits in that hoodie. It is her hoodie. She will not do this with any other hoodie. And that's adorable. And that message that you put out there, it kills me how people will go to bat for a pit bull, won't go back for no
Some
reptile.
people actually, the problem is too, they wanted, like, I'll go back to when I first got into retics and all the men who, you know, thought that I was going to die. A lot of people, so you hear, people used to call them monsters. And so I made a video one time, stop calling them monsters. Call them titans. They are massive.
I like that.
But they're not monsters. Can you give them another name? And this was a man, Michael, exactly. And Michael was in the group, Michael Eagle, and he said, Nicole, because of you, I'm never going to call them monsters again. And he's been owning retics way before I did, way before. And that's when I realized that I will continue to express my message.
Right.
Yes.
That you need to do the proper delivery. Right. Right.
They,
you calling this
you
snake
give,
a monster.
You give them a scary name, you're going to associate them with.
Exactly.
And
Now,
and you know what? When I
scenes, yes, but you know, it's not being a monster, it's being the snake that it is. Like I go back to what I said. His only way of defending itself or protecting itself is going to be its mouth or its constriction. That doesn't make it a monster. It makes it a snake. It makes it a reticulated python.
I mean,
No
you got
different
more
from
options to be a monster as a human. You have way more
Exactly.
options to be a monster as a human than this snake will ever have. The snake not have no legs. It not even have claws. Well, they got two little claws, but they don't have no feet. They can't really do much, and and I call them noodles. People think it's crazy when I call them noodles. I be like, it's a noodle with a head. If you had no legs, no arms, what you gonna do if you get scared? I'm biting the mess out of somebody. I'm biting.
And
I'm coming straight for you.
that's why another thing is like lately, especially over the last, I would say, year and a half, we don't approve a lot of stuff in the bro group that will give a negative image. And there's a lot of, communication. Lord Jesus, is there days that y'all overwork us? I mean, we have
Whatever
full-time
Wednesday,
jobs,
whatever Wednesday.
but there are real discussions. And I love the way we understand each other, and we may not always agree, right? But we make decisions based on what we know the state of the reptile hobby is. So sometimes people get very upset. Why didn't you approve my video? And Q would tell you, he could post that on your personal page, but we ain't approving it here. You still got your personal page. If you're in this group, you have Facebook as an individual. I would not suggest it, but if you want to, you can put it there. But we're not going to use this platform to destroy the hobby that we're working so hard to preserve. I can't speak for everybody else. If I had to give up my snakes, I would have to make a choice between prison.
Yep.
And home.
I said it. I said it the other day. I said it the other freaking day. I was like, look, this Lacey had got me tweak-twacking, okay? Because if it tells me I can't go somewhere, they're my kids. That's like you telling me I can't strap my niece or my nephew into the back seat and can't go see my grandmama for all I know. Who knows? I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. I started a personal jail fund because of these things. I'm not playing with you. I'm telling you my whole what I was saving for, what I wanted to do. And that's, oh my gosh, the amount of emotional support that these reptiles and the group and you and women and the men like y'all have given me in just the last, let me see, I got Kamea at the end of October of 2021. Let's just say my birthday on October 26th. I think I got her officially because I had a ball python before and he was sick. But October 29th, I think, is when I brought her home. And I kid you not, the amount of things where I was like, now I got to put back, I got to put a certain amount for USR. Now I got to put a certain amount for this YouTuber. Now I got to put a certain amount for this. Oh, wait a minute. I got to make sure I got insurance for him every month. I got to pay the fee to get the ESA registration. The yearly. I mean, and if the Lacey Act was approved, I kid you not, I got $600 or $700 in case somebody got to bail me out. If you got to bail me out, it's on and popping because it's amazing the amount just to be somebody who just felt like they were so alone in the world. I bought Kamea. I got Kamea as a gift. And then Kamea turned into Gambit. Kamea turned into Capone and BB. All four of these little guys turned into y'all, which turned into identification. And when COVID hit, and you just so because humans are we're people. We're people creatures. We're social creatures. We're supposed to be interacting. I had nobody to interact with. I couldn't. My biggest support group was my motorcycle. It still is. I'm not hating at all. I love my sisters. They're my biggest support group ever, right? And we couldn't go ride motorcycles together. Yeah. We couldn't call each other because we're stressing out about that. And then to be able to find, just to be able to put a picture of Kamea up and say, oh, she shed today. And comment, congratulations, full shed, heart, like, care. All of that, just to hit that, man, it just
people don't understand that. When we post on our personal pages, well, for me, when I first started, it was more all negative.
It's a snake. How do you deal with the snake?
Yeah. So then you
find that's not what I need right now.
Thank you. Then when you find the bro group and you put it in there, and then it's like encouragement. Love.
Yes, because somebody could genuinely be happy because you are happy.
There you go.
Everybody just gets it. Like, I'm not crazy for feeling how I feel about my
snake. I posted something the other day, and I was like, am I the only one that gets proud when my babies go in the shed? Somebody said, no, they eating good, having a good job. I was like, yes,
exactly.
Yes.
All right, so I want to read this, and we're going to so we are like literally, this is the longest podcast ever that I've ever done.
Did I talk too much? I apologize.
I held the record the first time.
I knew it would be. I gave the disclaimer in the beginning. I knew it would be. It was necessary. And so what I said before is that something that we're going to continue to do down the road, because the reason why it's the longest is that I have to look at the analytics. Well, forget it. Chip was here. That just says a lot.
Yes.
So, you know, it's real. It's something that's real in our communities. I want people to lead with this message. I'm going to read this first and I'm going to give my final message. And Q, first of all, let me thank you. And again, he and I don't always agree. We fight sometimes as well. Yep, Black Reptile Owners. But
thank you for the merch, bro.
He
I love
allows
it.
that platform to shine outside of the community. And one of the things that Q and I didn't see eye to eye on is who we should let in the group. And when I tell you that this year his heart changed, he was very protective of the Black reptile community, as he should be, right? Mm-hmm. But he let so many different people in to give a different vision, and I watched his heart change. And so you started to see different people in the group, which was necessary and still a part of our crusade to change the image of what reptile owners look like in the world, right? Uh-huh. So I want to thank him for that. It's hard to share your platform sometimes with other people, but I'll say this, and Keys Constrictors is a perfect example of it. If you're unselfish in the sharing of your platform, Mikey, I'm unselfish. That's why I responded and struck up a whole conversation. And I didn't need to know you. All I right needed to know was you had a reptile, or you was.
I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. You my big sis for real in this. I'm telling you.
It's important to share your platforms unselfishly. Mm-hmm. Q does that all the time. Yes. I don't feel like Reptiles and Cocktails. That was just a thought. My thought. That was the first thought that I shared with him. And he do it. It was a year later that I actually did it. We as a community have to understand that we don't have to agree to continue to evolve as a community. And this means a lot to me. It says, Nicole, I love your show so much. So many people, I get to see their personalities beyond just that blue app. And now I see Maki still in the show. So much personality. I gotta meet Maki.
Wait, hold on.
Me too.
Hey, look, no, this is the one thing I gotta tell you. This is the only thing that makes me upset about bro. Ain't nobody in Missouri. Where are y'all at?
My family is in Missouri. I come to Missouri. So one day.
When you come to Kansas City, look, I'm gonna tell you.
I'm calling you.
Hey, you hear the accent? You hear this accent?
Q is really good with the analytics. Q, you have to pull up the analytics and let Mikey know who is actually in Missouri. I'm sure we got a percentage of people.
I'm coming to meet you.
Come, please. Please come. Please come. I like to cook. Wait a minute. I like to cook. So I will cook you a real, I don't know who got Hawaiian Bros. If you got Hawaiian Bros out there, it's not authentic Hawaiian food. That's street. That's like Taco Bell to us. I will go to the store and I will cook you a real Hawaiian meal. That's what we do here. That's what we do.
Look, I'm loving your accent. I'm hearing it now. Hawaii is my place. I'm going to move there. My husband and I have already decided this.
If you go pack me in the suitcase, I'm 5'1" outfit.
Okay? Hey, I got you.
I will ride under this lane.
I definitely appreciate all of you coming on today. Everybody in the chat. If I missed a comment, you already know. Don't charge. I gave you a disclaimer in the beginning. I knew this was going to be a lot to manage today. But I will say this. I'm going to ask all of you guys to not just share this video with people who are reptile owners, but non-reptile owners. And if you have anybody who's in the medical community, specifically social work, if you can shoot this to them so they can share it with the powers to be, so we can continue our efforts to move forward with making sure that the world understands the benefit of reptiles outside of just owning them. And I always say, nothing good died on the ark.
Oh,
Nothing
that's
good.
Right.
hey, now you didn't have to
There
hit.
you
You
go.
didn't have to hit so that go deep. Now
You right.
Just saying. I'm just
that
saying.
was unnecessary.
I'm just saying. Nothing good died that day. So share it with the world. Please, please, please make sure that you continue to present us in the right light, because I am on a mission, guys. I can't tell you it's going to be this year, but I pray every day that as a mother of a child with special needs, as a woman who definitely utilizes her animals as some type of behavioral control, I would love to see them designated in the medical world as official
Yes,
service animals.
I'm
And
working
servicing
with people
doesn't
in
mean that,
Missouri for that.
yeah, it's servicing doesn't just mean because I'm blind I need an animal to see. Servicing means servicing the heart as well, the emotions as well. There's enough crazy people in the world, enough of us going crazy. I promise you, if you take reptiles from the people in the world, you're going to see a whole nother level of insane people. Because for some of us, we've had them for 30 plus years and we don't know how to live without them. Others, it literally made life changing on our depression. Others, it made us comfortable with being who we authentically are. Guys, it's so important. So with that being said, I'm going to say thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, my panel. Of course, Melody, you know, my sidekick for whenever I need him. Melody is always available. Tell your guys that whenever I call Melody, and don't care what kind of short notice it is, she show up for me.
Of course.
My niecey Pooh, D, thank you for coming on.
For
I know her
having
story a little personally, so I thought she would be a great representative, because no doubt I even said to her, you know, great emotional support animals. Trust me, trust me, trust me, trust me. Mikey, you know, I will always be a humble person. I will always be. First of all, I am nobody's celebrity. I only have about 600 and something subscribers. Okay, I just want to make sure that whoever is tuned into me, that they're getting authenticity. They understand that this is a positive place to come, and that they're learning something and meeting new people. So I've gotten better than changing people blue so they can drop their links. So I'm going to give everybody, if you haven't already dropped your links, before I close this out, 60 seconds to drop your links in the chat.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I do a podcast myself, y'all. It's called Tig Talks, TIGTALKS. I'm dropping season 2 this year. I went on for a little bit of a hiatus. I'm on Instagram. So, you know, y'all do the thing with the social media.
Definitely shoot me that link so I can drop that into the chat later.
I'll try. I'm good at talking, not really with the typing, but I'll try.
Okay. Or copy and paste it and message me and I can post it for you.
See, I like that option. I can copy paste real good. Y'all are amazing though. Y'all are awesome. Everybody in the Bro group, I appreciate y'all accepting someone like me, little cookie, something like me. I appreciate y'all so much. It's been an honor to interact with you guys, for real. And if you're seriously, we get reptile shows. If y'all come to Kansas City, y'all just, message me. Because I feel so alone out here. I be seeing y'all linked up with each other, for real. And like, I'm a hugger. So I keep seeing y'all give hugs away.
Thank you, AJ. Drop your links. There is a contest link, free ball python Mojave Inchy het goals.
That's a lot of
contact link. Like drop it in the chat.
And you guys, you too, Melody and D, y'all make sure y'all add me.
Yes. Oh yeah, I think I'm already friends with you, I think. But I'm gonna make sure I follow you on everything.
Yeah, you make sure y'all add me. I just like human interaction.
Yep. Heidi, copy the link and then paste the link right there in the comments.
Y'all so cold-blooded like these reptiles. I'm telling you, I've been saying cold-blooded for years. Y'all so cold-blooded.
All right. Oh, before we go, I shared with you guys earlier, just a heads up, some powerful additional interviews coming up on Reptiles and Cocktails on May 14th. We're going to have Sean from YOX2 Reptiles, which I found out actually meant Yo-Yo Reptiles. That was dope as crap when I learned that. On May 21st, we're going to have the goddess herself, Marquindra, on here talking more about reticulated pythons, Burmese pythons, anacondas. You definitely want to check that one out if you're a big snake lover or if you're not sure if you ever wanted to get a big snake. And then on May 28th, we're going to have Stanley from Echo Reptiles. It's one of the breeders that I actually followed before I started breeding. He won't even know that until the show. But I reached out to people, like I said, that has an impact on me one way or the other. And then on June 4th, the ball python god himself, Ozzy Boyds, it's going to be on Reptiles and Cocktails. If y'all think I was excited about Chip, I might need a Valium before doing that one.
You make sure you actually have your cocktails that day. I'm trying to see you speak Spanish. I need you to go and get a couple cocktails. Okay? Because I called you out the last time. I said, hey, you called Reptiles and Cocktails. Hey, I'm not seeing either one today. What's going on?
So I told you, if I drank the night before, I'm never going to drink again. So
stop
I'm not a big drinker, girl. So here's the cocktail.
Okay, well, I got my little Bud Light. I made sure I went and got a 6-pack because I knew one, I was going to need it, and 2, y'all was going to be amazing.
Okay, I thought Keisha was already blue, but let me make sure that Keisha should be blue. Keisha, make sure you're blue. Okay.
Y'all are just so amazing. I'm gonna keep y'all.
Anybody else in the chat who's not blue, who's trying to drop a link and they can't, just let me know right now. So before we disconnect, I can do that. Heidi, you should be blue by now. If not, let me double check Heidi.
I love how everybody else's snakes actually chilled with them the whole time.
Yeah, see, Ethic is
Mine was in my shirt. He went in my shirt, so he was happy.
I just gotta be curious. They just so daggone curious. Like this is the same part of the house. You cook with me in this area of the house, so you know what goes on in here.
AJ dropped Heidi for us. Okay, so feel free after the live ends to drop your links in the comments if you go back and watch this. Share. Love you all. Peace.
Much love, y'all. Yes, sir.